Hello, friends and bees, and friends who are also bees, and welcome to this week's Indie Thursday stream. This week, we are struggling with Discord, and rather more importantly, we will be finishing off Higurashi When They Cry Tsumihoroboshi. It'd be really helpful if I actually had music playing there instead of just dead silence for the last 2 minutes. Wouldn't that be just absolutely fucking peachy? Anyway, it is a Thursday. I am more than a little brain dead today. I'm having one of those days where my brain cannot seem to decide what it's doing. So I'm a little brain dead today. I may wind up just giving up and going to put some gin in the orange juice that I'm drinking. But I have eaten, so at least my blood sugar is better than it was. And we're going to be finishing off Higurashi When They Cry Tsumihoroboshi. When we left off last week, God only knows what happened. I can't remember that long ago. Christ alive. When we left off last week, we were continuing to, as Keiichi, try and save Rena, and we went to go talk to her, where she told us that she'd found out that we had been attacking people with pellet guns. And that's part of the reason that our family moved all the way out here to Hinamizawa. So with that in mind, let's see where the rabbit hole takes us. I'm not going to spoil the name or summary of the next achievement, but it looks very intriguing. The last stream of these games is always a, catastrophic nightmare. There's never a good ending to any of these. It only ever gets worse, so I'm intrigued to see where it takes us. As always, please let me know if the audio is too loud or too quiet. I am terrible at telling these things. But let us keep going. I think we've got 3 more chapters to go, plus the end, so we'll see how long this takes. This probably won't be a full 2.5 hour stream. It rarely is for these end ones, but we shall see how long it takes. I'm really glad that we're finishing this, so that when I come back off my hiatus, I can drop straight into chapter 7. But let's go. I think we read the tips, but yes, we did. I remember reading that one. So let's go. Got my candle going, as always, and I'm intrigued to be really freaked out. At lunchtime the next day, everybody in class was talking about Rena's disappearance. We were all worried about her safety, but I kept a safe distance from everybody else. I do wonder where she went. Someone said she was demoned away. How can they say such things? I can't believe their nerve. Keiichi, you look down today. Meep. Stoko and Rika noticed something odd about my attitude. I couldn't sleep at all last night because of what Rena told me. Friends don't keep secrets from one another. That sentence bit into my heart, and I couldn't sleep because of the pain. Mion, Stoko and Rika too. I have something I need to talk to you about. Is it about Rena? No, it's not. It's about me. I decided to tell them about it because they were my friends, but I didn't know what I was expecting to change by doing so. They might despise me. Was there any benefit in telling them? No, there wasn't. I knew that for sure, but I still wanted to tell them about it, just because I thought it would help heal the pain I was feeling. Sorry if you hear gross noises in the background. I'm squeezing out the very dregs of some hand cream. What is this about, Keiichi? Well, it's the truth about myself. I'd appreciate it if you listened to me. It's about what happened to me before I moved here. I was the kind of guy who wasn't good at anything but studying. I learned the tricks of the game called studying at my cram school. I enjoyed the sense of security I felt by getting good grades. I kept studying just because I wanted to look down on the other students. When my grades got better, my parents got happier and my teachers praised me. I felt good. It was fun to look down on the students who were good at running, dodgeball or swimming. That was the only reason I kept studying. Before I knew it, not only was I top of my class, I was top of the school. So I started to think I was the most important student there. I looked down on the kids who were playing in the schoolyard during lunch break. I enjoyed feeling a sense of superiority to them and my insignificance. The more I studied, the better everyone expected me to do. They started to place high hopes on me. They expected me to go to the best school in Japan. I flattered myself in thinking I deserved to go to that school as well. But the fun went down on looking down on people, while the burden of studying didn't change a bit. My classmates stopped admiring my cleverness after a while, and my teachers started to push me to study more. All of a sudden, the fun had gone out of it. To begin with, I didn't even like to study. I had average reflexes, I was average in a fight, I was an average boy with nothing that really drew attention. So when I found something that I could use to get that attention, I jumped on it. On the one hand, you're like, boo-hoo, clever boy, clever rich boy, but on the other hand, you're like, man, inverted commas, gifted, kid struggles. It happened to be studying for me, but if it was riding unicycle or juggling, I would have done that too. When I realised I didn't enjoy studying anymore, it got very boring. I was just a little boy who wanted to be praised when I did something better than everyone else. I finished all of my summer homework because my parents pleased me for it, and I took charge of cleaning duties at school because my teachers praised me for it. So when they stopped praising me for what I did, I began to feel as if my life had no meaning. My parents used to give me an allowance that was proportional to how good my grades were, so I was used to get a substantial amount of money for my age. I don't know if I had a natural interest in violence, or if I was looking for it because of my frustration at the time. I took an interest in BB guns. At first I shot at cardboard boxes. It was fun. Being violent at pieces of cardboard relieved a lot of the stress. Nobody blamed me for doing that. But soon I started wanting to do something I should never have done. On the box that my BB gun came in was a warning label that read, "Do not shoot at people." That was when I thought about doing just that. Why did I do something I shouldn't have? I guess I was just immature. I wasn't interested in studying anymore, but forced myself to do so anyway. My parents forced me to go to several cram schools. I was mad at them for that. I should have told them I didn't want to study anymore, but I didn't have the courage to do that. So I used my frustration as an excuse to do something cowardly. I shot at kids who were younger than I was with my BB gun. It gave me such a thrill. It felt so good to do something bad when I was so overcome with studying. Needless to say, I had no personal grudge against the kids I shot. As long as the kids passed through a deserted street, they met the requirements to become my target. I didn't mean to hurt them. I shot at them once or twice from a distance. That was all I wanted to do. But sometimes they didn't react at all because the BBs hit a thicker part of their clothes or something. Didn't like that, so I started to shoot until they noticed they were being hit. It inevitably escalated into a barrage of gunfire. I study a lot. I'm doing something good. So I deserve to do something bad to balance out the good thing I'm doing. That was the unbelievably selfish excuse I made. I thought I had a right to do things like that because I was suffering myself. Thought people who weren't suffering like I was deserved to be shot at and to get hurt a little bit. I was so selfish, so arrogant, and so immature. I was disgusted with myself. If I could have met myself at that time, I would have given myself a punch in the face so hard I'd knock out all my teeth. They started to call it a series of attacks on school children. The principal of my school held a morning assembly to inform everyone about the case and to warn them to be careful when playing outside. I was laughing sneakily. The PTA issued a letter of warning and took advice to take the safest way to and from school. Parents took turns watching kids when they walked between home and school in groups. The more serious it got, the more it reminded me of the excitement I first felt when my grades started going up. I was absorbed in the game that I was playing. Didn't think that I'd get caught someday. Didn't even think to stop doing it either. One day, I found a little girl who was walking down a narrow dark street, all alone. She was a very small girl. I don't know if she was on her way to a friend's house or if she was running an errand. I didn't care which. It was careless of her to go out alone. The school did want her not to. So it was her fault. Just like always, I made a selfish excuse and attacked her. Some of the shots hit her in the back. She noticed she was being attacked by somebody. She turned around. It was a natural reaction. At that time, I didn't hesitate to rain hell upon her. So when she turned around, I was still shooting at her. Usually when I shot at a kid, she cried in pain and ran away. But this girl was different. She thrashed around in excruciating pain, holding one of her eyes. When I saw her doing that, I realised what happened right away. The BB had hit her in the eye. And to that moment, I didn't think about what would happen when a pellet that could easily go through a cardboard box hit an eyeball. Anyway, the girl howled in pain, and for the first time, I realised I'd done something horrible. She saw me, so I couldn't take her to a hospital. I couldn't do anything about it, so I left her there while she was still screaming in pain. I wondered if she was okay and I worried that she'd lost her eye. I kept thinking about her and I didn't even feel like eating that day. I went to the bookshelf in our living room, stuck the medical room book to my room, and studied the structure of the human eye. It was too late to make a difference, but I studied what kind of injuries would make a person lose their vision. I knew it wouldn't make the sin I committed away any less, even if I found out she wouldn't lose her sight. I couldn't sleep that night, and I suffered from high fever. It wasn't my parents, my teachers, or the police who first punished me for what I did. It was my own body. Before dawn, I woke my parents up and confessed my sin. They were shocked at first, but it seemed like they understood the situation quickly due to my recent disobedient behaviour and interest in BB guns. My mum cried hysterically. My dad slapped me in the face till it swelled up. Before the sun came up, I turned myself into the police, accompanied by my parents. Stoko stared at me with a stunned expression. I deserved to receive that kind of look. What I did was very wrong, and I needed to accept that. Is that all true? Yeah, it's all true. I'm sorry I didn't tell you until now. What made you want to tell us? Mion asked me. Rika nodded in agreement. To tell you the truth, I don't understand why. Well, I know, but... No, I'm just saying that I don't see any reason why you had to tell us about it. Well, I didn't want to keep secrets from my friends. You're my friends, so I couldn't hide it from you anymore. What are you expecting us to do? I'm not expecting anything. If you're asking for forgiveness, I can't give it to you. You have to ask the kids you attacked if you want that. It won't help any to tell us about it. I agree with Rika. I think you're really brave to tell us, but I don't understand what you want to do from here on out. I don't want to do anything. Just thought that's not right to keep secrets from my friends. My friends looked annoyed by the sudden confession of my past. I took it as bitter medicine. I got what I deserved. Keiichi, I have a question. Why can't friends keep secrets from each other? What? I mean, that's what you're saying, but I really don't agree. I don't agree either. Min and Rika obviously disagreed with my statement. Stoko nodded, following suit. I don't think it's wrong to refuse to tell people things you'd rather not. We all have lots of things we don't want to tell anyone else about, like tragedies, mistakes, and other things you don't want to remember. If I'd had to tell someone everything to be true friends with them, I wouldn't want to have them as my friends at all. But, Keiichi, there's a difference between things you don't need to confess and things you have to confess. You have to confess what you did to receive forgiveness. But once you're forgiven, you don't need to keep confessing. Quite. You turned yourself into the police and they scolded you good, did they not? You atoned for your sin and you were forgiven. What more do you have to do? You turned yourself in and you accepted the result. You did what you had to do. It's very important you keep reminding yourself of your sin so that you won't make the same mistake again. But you only have to take care of that on your own. It's not something you have to confess to everybody. That's very true. I have many embarrassing stories I'd rather not tell anyone. Meep. Stoko does have quite a lot of them. It's not only me. Rika has a heap of them too. Meep, meep, meep. Stoko and Rika fooled around with each other like they always did. Mion looked at them and then looked back at me. Stoko just said something very important. Did you get it? You mean the part where she has a dark past that nobody needs to know about? No, the bit after that. She's saying that everybody has something they'd rather hide. Considering that nobody grows up in a sterilised room, we all learn by trial and error. It's called life, you know? You do both good things and bad things in order to grow up. Your goal is to become a wonderful person by the end. Everything that happens is a very important experience, including both the good and the bad. Same goes with everybody, with Stoko, Rika, and me too. Same applies to everybody in this class. For example, Mion used to be a very bad girl. Meow meow. Well, I'm not proud of it or anything, but shooting at people with a BB gun is like nothing compared to what I did. I used to throw bricks at people. Can't even count how many times I ended up in the cell at the police station. During the dam conflict, I was a regular there. I'm not kidding, it's all true. But it happened in the past, and she doesn't have to tell you about it, even though she's your friend. No, she's my friend. I made a lot of embarrassing mistakes and committed some crimes too, but I don't tell you about them because telling you wouldn't help in any way. If you feel better by telling us about your past, we'll listen, but there's no rule that says you have to tell us about your past just because we're friends. I don't want to dig up a past that you don't want to talk about. That's what true friends are all about, I think. I agree with you, but I'm happy if you feel better now by telling us about your past. We can forget about it if you want us to. We'll never change the way we see you because of this. What you did in the city has nothing to do with who you are right now. You're a precious friend to us. I actually don't want to know about your past, to be honest with you. I agree with Rika. Same thing goes the other way around. Even if you did something great in the city, but if you were a nasty person here, I wouldn't care about the great things you did back then. In other words, Keiichi, the sin you committed in the city is something that you should keep secret in your heart. You don't need to dig it back up just to tell us. I mean, you can if you want, and if anybody changed the way they saw you because of that, I'd look down on them. No matter what happened in the past, as long as you're a great person at the present, you shouldn't be embarrassed of yourself. Am I wrong? I have mixed feelings about this because I think it really depends on A, whether you learn from your mistakes, and B, what those mistakes are. I think it's something that we have to think about a lot, like, in the wake of, especially social media at the moment, and the way that, like, celebrity is treated at the moment. It's something you have to take into account. And my personal thinking is that there is no one... It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all situation. Like, if somebody said stuff 10 years ago because they were ignorant, and then now they're like, you know, they A, they don't say the same stuff, and B, they like actively work against that. That's one thing. If somebody was to continue to be like a shithead in private, that's much worse. Equally, if somebody did something terrible in the past, but you know, they've, for lack of a better phrase, atoned for it. It depends on the person, obviously, but I don't know. I think you have to. Lip service is one thing, and then like actually trying to make up for bad things that you do is another thing, I guess is the way that I would put it. What's the purpose of living if we can never earn redemption? Stucky used to be a big baby who couldn't do anything by herself. She regretted it deeply, and now she's a strong, independent girl. That's why I admire Stoko today. I don't care how weak she used to be. Rika. What about you, Keiichi? Are you going to change the way you see me, because you now know I used to be a very bad girl who was a regular at the police station? You won't, will you? I am who I am. Our friendship won't change, and we'll keep playing and laughing like we always do, right? That's what being friends is all about. What's going on? Miona's tried to cheer me up with an encouraging smile on her face, but her expression became distorted all of a sudden. Big teardrops fell from my eyes. What? Why am I crying? Let me just say this. I didn't know anything about Satoshi, because you all hid it from me. We didn't mean to hide it. You didn't tell me about the incidents that happen every year, right? It's because we didn't want to, you didn't want to scare me? Just because of that, you left me out? No, we didn't mean to. Mion didn't know what to say. She had tears in her eyes. She thought she did me a favour. She didn't know why it turned out like this. She didn't want to make me scared of the village since I just moved here. What more reason did she need? I asked you before, Mion, if there was a crime at the damn construction site. You told me there was none, but there was a dismemberment, lynch, murder. You lied. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie to you. Thought friends didn't hide things from each other, right? So that makes us not friends. What are friends? Friends? What are friends to me? They were my true friends. They really cared about me. They were so nice to me and helped me feel at home in this village. I couldn't have been happier. Everything was great, wasn't it? Keiichi, please don't. Mion seemed like she didn't know what to say. Her eyes looked moist. It was hard to believe she was really acting like this. It wasn't like Mion at all. I could feel her pain. She was in pain because she didn't know what I was blaming her for. She looked so sad, but I didn't notice her pain. I thought I was her friend. I didn't understand her feelings. I didn't trust her. I just used the word friends, but I didn't do anything like what friends were supposed to do. That's right, I was such a fool. Mion was Mion. She was my best friend. Why did I doubt her? Why? Keiichi looks down these days. He just moved here from the city. I guess the fatigue must be setting in. He probably caught a cold as a result. I see. Then he needs to eat something nutritious. My grandma's making ohagi today. I'm going to ask her to give me some so we can bring them to Keiichi. Oi, Mion, wash your hands first. Hello, Rena. Would you like to try making one too? Wow, that looks like fun. Yes, I'd love to try. Here we go. I have a great idea. What is it, Mion? What's that little bottle? What is it? It's not fun to only have sweet ohagi, you know? Let's put hot sauce in one of them. It'll wake him up for sure. That's right. That's what happened. They brought ohagi for me to help me get better. They only tried to cheer me up. Why did I get so scared of them? Just because Mion knew I had lunch at Angelmore, I grew terrified of her. Hey, you don't look good. Maybe you should go lie down. That's right. Maybe we should leave. They just wanted to cheer me up with a joke, but because I look so serious. See you. Please get better soon. I hope we can hang out at the club together tomorrow. That was a normal way of saying goodbye. I don't want you to become absent from school tomorrow, okay? First of all, have I ever visited any of my classmates who are absent with a cold? No, I haven't. I've never done such a nice thing to anybody because it's too much of a bother. But they did that for me. I understand visiting a friend in hospital, but I just caught cold. But they came to visit with me with a ohagi so I could get better soon. Should have been thankful to them and said, I'll get better soon and I'm sure I can come to school tomorrow. So I'll see you then. That was what I was supposed to say. But what did I do instead? I locked the door. I closed the door and locked it as if rejecting them. What was I so scared of? What was I so afraid of? Why didn't I say any words of appreciation to my friends who cared about me? I was so scared of the ohagi they brought for me. What was I thinking? It was impossible that there was a needle in one of them. There wasn't actually a needle after all. It was all in my head because I'd got distracted and needed to change. I'd read some manga about someone putting needles or razor blades in people's food. It scared me so much that I believed it could also happen to me for some reason, and I thought there was a needle in the ohagi. You were so stupid, Keiichi. Why would your friends put a needle in food they only brought to make you get better? It was crazy to think like that. Even if there was a needle in one of them, I should have thought that it was some kind of mistake, and I should have believed in my friend's innocence. That's what a true friend would do. But what did I do? Pow, splatter, smash. Other onomatopoeias. I threw the ohagi they spent so much effort making on the floor. Why? Why did I do that? I got on so well with them. I moved to Hinamizawa and I made friends for the first time in my life. They were my best friends. Meeting them was the most wonderful experience of my life. Probably never had another one like that for the rest of my days. I knew that, but I got scared and I doubted them. They noticed that I was acting odd. That's why they called the manager Irie. They thought a sedative might help me relax so I could rest and get better. That's why they carried me up to my room. Mion just wanted to make it fun. She's the kind of person who expresses her goodwill by making a joke out of it. I knew that better than anybody. She knew Irie would roll up my shirt to check my heart with a stethoscope, so she was just trying to draw graffiti on my shirt, just like he did to Mr. Tomitake as punishment for the game he lost. Yes, that's why Mion took a felt marker out of her pocket. A felt marker? She brought a marker from home because she just wanted to do something funny. She tried to cheer me up by making me take a punishment for fun rather than nursing me, because that's just what Mion is like. She went to the trouble of bringing a felt marker to my house, just because she wanted to cheer me up. Rena held me down tightly, and Mion came closer to me, to write something on my shirt. Mion whispered the words she was going to write on my shirt. I heard them. I heard them clearly. I heard what she was going to write on my shirt. I hope you get well soon, Mion. I heard them. Then why? I should have known she wasn't going to do anything to hurt me. Then why? Why? Why did the marker look like a syringe to me? Why did I think that Mion was going to kill me? It was impossible. It was impossible. Why? Why did I misunderstand that Mion was going to kill me? The numbness in my head receded, and slowly I felt blood start to run through my entire body again. How long was I squatting down there? For a few minutes? Or a lot longer than that? As I looked up at the clock, the hands weren't moving at all, as if they'd stopped while I had my eyes closed. Really? The atmosphere in the room wasn't filled with insanity like it was earlier, but it was quiet and grey. Rena wasn't holding me down. Mion wasn't about to give me an injection. Was all of that just some kind of an illusion? There was no sense of a presence other than myself in that room. It was an extraordinary experience, the kind I'd never had before. I was there, with Rena and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but at the same time I felt some kind of relief too. The scary incident was just an illusion after all. Neither Rena nor Mion would have done such a terrible thing to me. Tears started forming in my eyes. My emotions were running high. Why? It wasn't a question of why tears were forming in my eyes. Why? It was a question of my sadness. Why did I feel so sad? I don't know. You don't know? What do you mean you don't know? You do know. So stupid. What the hell was I doing? So pathetic and helpless. Mion just tried to cheer me up, that was all. I liked her so much. She was my best friend. She was older than me, but hung out with me like we were the same age. She was the first one who came to talk to me in class. She was so nice to me, but Mion was lying down in an unnatural position near the window. She was covered in dusky red blood from her head to her chest. The red blood spattered on the wall was Mion's. What I had done. What had I done? Never forgive myself. I truly did think of you all as my friends. Why did this happen? There was nothing fun in my life at my old school. When I talked to anyone, it was only ever about my chances of passing the entrance exam of the schools we wanted to go to. My life was shaded in grey. Friends to me were rivals and enemies to vie with for school recommendation and test scores. My friends here taught me just how unnatural that was. This whole month was a blast. We raised the brief over lunch, our club activities and the festival. A warm liquid flowed out from my eyes. To my surprise, it was my tears. I didn't have any obligation to cry for them. There we go. Fucking about with audio as always. Apologies. But I couldn't stop it. Even though they attempted to kill me. Even though they almost killed me. I couldn't forget the memories we made during the past month. were those fun days fake? Was it an act that they kept playing perfectly to set me up until today? Was it only me who believed that they were my friends? It couldn't be. Rena and Mion, they were my friends after, for real. Those happy days couldn't just have been a performance. Rena and Mion must have been forced by somebody to kill me. Or was that extraordinary existence called Higurashi possessed them and took over their must have been forced by somebody to kill me. Or that extraordinary existence called Oyashiro-sama possessed them and took over their consciousnesses. No matter it was, both Rena and Mayon, yep. They're, what was it we used to call it in Star Trek? Mirrorverse, yeah. Rena and Mayon are Mirrorverse Rena and Mion. All my best friends. I was stupid. Such a fool. Such a fool, such a fool, such a fool. It wasn't making any sense at all. I killed my best friends. They were my best friends. Then why didn't I trust them? Why didn't I listen to them? I beat them to death. Who did I think I was? I made it sound like I didn't do anything wrong. I felt like everybody went crazy except me. Such a fool. It was the other way round. Of course it was. I was the only one who went crazy. Keiichi? I did something terrible. And I forgive myself. Mion was still alive. I have a memory of beating her to death because I couldn't trust her. But that's a memory from a non-existent, different world. But even though it happened in a different world, I killed Mion, and I didn't realise how deep that sin was. I even thought that until now that Mion was at fault for being killed. What's wrong with Keiichi? I don't know. Keiichi, please calm down. I'm not dead. You didn't beat me to death. I mean, I never let that happen. Okay? Quite. There's no one in a club who you could beat to death, Keiichi. No. Mion and Toko looked confused, having no idea why I was crying. But I couldn't help myself. I learned just now that I could earn redemption by confessing my sin. But I could never earn redemption from this. Not from Mion. No matter how much I cried in this world, nobody could give me forgiveness. And so I could never earn redemption for this sin. Right then, Miss Chie came in and noticed me crying. You wouldn't see a teenage boy crying like that very often. Miss Chie asked me what was going on, but at that moment I couldn't hear anything. Mion and Satoko looked confused. They didn't know how to explain the situation. Rika approached me in the midst of my sobs. This is very much reminding me of the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. The second season, or I think maybe the fourth book, maybe? I can't remember. Anyway, the book where, yeah, they get trapped in a time loop and the only one who remembers is Yuki. Makes me think of this, but, like, with more murder. Because that time loop, I don't think it ended in tragedy, it just ended. Sorry, my headphones wiggled the wrong way. You remember, don't you, Keiichi? You remember how you killed Rena and Mion? Yes, I killed them. But I didn't accept my sin. Pretended I was the victim. I cursed and blamed my friends until the moment I died. There was blood everywhere, and in the end I just died alone, without any regrets. I clawed at my itchy throat in a phone booth. I didn't notice my sin, and I, alone. Keiichi, did you notice your sin just now? Yes, I did. It took me so long, but I just noticed it. I remember what I did, not here, but in a different world that looks just like this one. I killed my friends because I couldn't trust them. They were just trying to help me, but I didn't listen to them. I don't know why I didn't. I didn't care if people were staring. I was reading it more as a headache, but I think I would have a catastrophic headache if I just learned the existence of multiple worlds and that I was trapped in a time loop. I just kept crying. I wanted to transmute my sin to tears in order to squeeze it out of me, but these tears that were coming out from my eyes weren't my sin. They were just tears of regret for doing something irreversible. At that time, I felt something touching my head. I opened my eyes and saw Rika patting my head gently. I didn't need any comfort. I didn't deserve any comfort from Rika, but the words she spoke to me weren't ones of comfort. I forgive you, Keiichi. What? Keiichi, you noticed your sin. It's a very difficult thing to do when not something everybody can. Not everyone can understand how great you are, and hence they can't forgive you. But I can, because I know how great you are. Rika, this is a miracle. You noticed the sin you committed in another world. That's impossible to do, but you did it. That is the most unbelievable and precious of miracles that could exist in this world. I didn't understand anything Rika was saying, but I felt like she's the only one who understood that impossible memory I had. So, you should be able to understand what Rena Ryugu is going through right now. Yes, I understand. She's going through exactly the same thing I went through. She wants to trust her friends more than anything, but she can't. She's the one who's losing her mind because she doesn't understand that, and she thinks the world is going crazy instead. I don't know how to save her. I have no idea, because I failed. I didn't understand until I died. No, I didn't understand even after I died. So how can I make Rena realise what I didn't even after all that? I can't save her. I can't save her. I know because I was just like her. There's nothing I can do. Calm down, Keiichi. I did fail. That didn't mean Rena would too. There was no excuse not to save her because I thought she'd fail. After all, what did Rena do back then? I was totally going mad, but she risked her life to save me. In my room, in that world, I'd beaten her many times with a metal bat. I hate that sound. But she was smiling. She knew I was scared, and that's why she smiled for me. I beat her so many times. Her arms were broken and her forehead was cut open. I remembered. Rena didn't block her head, even at the very last moment. She opened her arms towards me, like she was looking for a hug, but I still doubted her and raised the metal bat up high. Rena told me then that it was okay. Please trust me. Ow! It made my eyes hurt. My friend still told me to believe in her. She told me to trust her, but I still didn't. I lost it and attacked her. She was in danger. She was actually killed, but she didn't even block her head. Instead, she used her arms to reach out for me. Rena continued to say those words until the moment she died. Trust me. Please, trust me. She risked her life to save me. Until her very last moments, she kept telling me to believe in her. But I didn't listen. For so long, I truly believed I didn't do anything wrong. I feel a little bit better now that you've forgiven me, Rika. But I still have to atone for my sin. I'm going to do that in the same way Rena did for me. I'm going to save her. Rena risked her life to save me. She cared about me until her very last moments. She trusted me. She believed that her words would reach my heart, so she kept saying them, until I cracked her skull. I don't care if I die. Rena died for me. I can die for her too. I was such a fool for failing to understand my friend's feelings. That's why I didn't understand what she was saying. But Rena might be different. This world is messed up, but it doesn't mean I can just quit. Quitting is the same thing as not believing. I believe in Rena and in our friendship. That's why I can still make it. I can still prevent a tragedy from happening. I can change fate. We will struggle together to seize our future. Rika nodded with a serious look on her face. She put her hand in the pocket of her skirt. Keiichi, I won't give up either. I'm not going to lose hope in this world. I was tired from meeting with countless failures. I gave up on the world as it started to go wrong. That's why I kind of gave up on Rena last night. But I was wrong. I realised that the will to fight is such a beautiful and divine thing, and it can work miracles that can even alter the path of fate. So I'll fight with you. I'll fight again. I'll keep fighting until I reach the future. I have no idea what you two are talking about. It's normal that you don't remember. Keiichi's a special exception. Huh? I suppose I'm too brilliant to understand what's going on. Rika touched Sokoko's forehead to hers. But please remember one day, when you're desperately driven into a corner of misfortune, please remember that he risked his life to save you. Keiichi fought for me? It's hard to believe. Isn't that right, Keiichi? Rika looked at me, smiling as if waiting for my agreement. I wasn't sure if I could risk my life for Toko. No, I was sure. I'd risk my life for her. So Toko was my friend. If anybody tried to make her unhappy, I'd beat them up without hesitation. I would risk my life to save her. Might even have been a world like that. I nodded to Rika. Rika nodded back to me, looking happy. Mr. Maebara, not Mr. Maebara, I suppose they just say Maebara. Is everything okay? Miss Chie realised I'd finally calmed down and she asked me that. Yes, everything's fine now. I'm sorry I worried you. Anyway, Mion. What? What is it? I walked towards her. Mion stepped back, not knowing what was going on. She bumped into the blackboard. What is it, Keiichi? You look so serious. I held Mion tightly. She still didn't know what was going on and her face turned red. Crying on her shoulder, I told her the following. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What? What? What are you sorry for, Keiichi? This old man doesn't really get what's going on. It's okay. You don't need to get anything. So just listen to me. I'm very sorry. And the ohagi you made. They were really good. They were delicious. They cheered me up. Well, I wanted to tell you that. I would go to school the next day, and the day after that too. I wanted to tell you that I would see you tomorrow at school, but I couldn't. I'm very sorry that I didn't give you any words of appreciation until today. I'll never doubt you, Mion. I'll never doubt any of my friends. Never, ever again. So, Mion, please forgive me for what I did that day. Mion must have had no idea what I was talking about. Of course, I didn't either. I didn't understand what I was talking about. But my sin wasn't forgiven yet. I needed to confess my sin in order to receive her forgiveness. I know you risked your life to save me, Mion, so I'll risk my life to save you too when you're in some kind of trouble. Don't worry, Keiichi, you already did. I promise I will. Keiichi? You're making me blush. Mion's face was bright red. She didn't know what was going on. Satoko was blushing too, with a confused look on her face. But Rika and I understood everything. We weren't going to accept a tragedy. We couldn't give up just because the world was going out of order. We were going to fight against fate to the very last moment. And win, I'm sure. That's why this is only book 6. Mion fought for me. Rena fought for me. That's why I was going to fight for Rena. Just like she did for me. I was going to risk my life to save her. Bad news, bees. My candle is like almost burnt out. And I've got loads of wax left. But we'll see how it goes. This seems to always happen to me, so. The summit was being held at a traditional Japanese restaurant in Shishibone City. When a black car stopped in front of it, 3 burly cops got out of it, followed by Oishi. They were welcomed by Sonozaki corps members in equally black suits. It was something you didn't see every day. Thank you for having us. We apologise for being late. I'll take you to the room. Please, follow me. There was a sign saying reserved at the entrance. Oishi and his subordinates were taken inside. They walked through the restaurant's pretentious landscape garden, and they came out to the gorgeous Japanese-styled entrance. A woman in a kimono was waiting at the entrance, as was Kasai. Upon seeing the police officers, they stopped chatting and bowed deeply. What? Kasai took us to the room. The woman in the kimono was... whatever, we'll pretend like that weirdness didn't happen. Was Mion's mother, Akane. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Sonozaki. Thank you for having us today. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming all the way here, despite your busy schedule. Not at all. I've been looking forward to the feast I'm going to have today. Kiyomizute is famous for its dried bean curd, right? Can't wait. Long time no see, Mr. Kasai. It's been forever since we last met in person. Yes, it has been a while. Well, we seem to be at war, but I'm hoping we can settle this like adults. Although we're ready for an all-out war whenever you are. No, we have no desire to fight. Haha, neither do we. Everybody knows how messy things get when you get involved, but I'd like to avoid that as much as possible, since I'm not that young anymore. Obviously, this was a meeting between people who hated each other. The tension in the words indicated that it wasn't likely to be a friendly meeting. I'll take you to the room. Please, follow me. I feel bad that our host is taking us to a table. Well, I know he sent you the invitation under my name, but actually today's host is the Sonozaki main family. I'm sorry for the confusion. I see. Can I go back and get my bulletproof jacket? On the other side of the door there were several tables, and Mion was sitting at one of them. Since Myung was still young, her school uniform functioned as her formal dress. Still, it looked strange with both the police and the corps members in black suits. Hello, you must be the successor to the head of the Sonozaki family. Thank you for having us today. Thank you very much for coming. Please, take a seat. Myung politely welcomed the police, undaunted even though they were older than her parents. Myung gave Kasai a look and he tapped on the door. The waitresses, who had been waiting behind the door, started bringing out drinks. Mr. Oishi, what's going on here? I'm not sure. Well, let's enjoy the meal first. The dried bean curd is really famous, you know. They started drinking, but the tension continued for a while. Myung made the waitresses and the other members of the Sonozaki corps leave the room, and soon only Oishi and his subordinates, Mion, Akane, and Kasai were left in the room. Well, let's start by talking about why we're here today. Akane nodded and began speaking. We're having this meeting today so we can resolve our misunderstandings. Such as? Kasai wanted to talk to you about Rena Ryugu for personal reasons. Therefore, this meeting is about the private circumstances between Tatsuyoshi Kasai and Rena Ryugu. The Sonozaki family has nothing to do with this. Haha, what are these private circumstances? Ms. Ryugu lives an honest life. How could she have any kind of private connection with Mr. Kasai from the Yakuza? Kasai? Yes, allow me to explain. Kasai told the police officers that he happened to meet Rena at a coffee house in Okonomiya. He explained that Rena found something he lost her and that she offered to bring it back to him. That doesn't sound right, but for argument's sake, why don't we assume that what you're telling us is true? What happened after that doesn't make any sense. I heard that you told your members to find Rena Ryugu. That is actually my fault. Rena's father was worried about her because she didn't come home after dark, so I sent my men to ask if anyone had seen her downtown, but I made a small mistake. Wait a second. You made us come all the way here and are you telling us to believe this bullshit? Could it be you're making fun of us? Oishi looked a lot more like a member of the Yakuza than the real Yakuza did. Oishi threatened them with a nasty smile and piled all the more tension on the room. Hello, Lem. Mr. Oishi, please don't. Kumagai tried to make him stand down. Officers with hot tempers pair with others who are good at calming them down, just like how Yakuza do. Oishi backed off with a grin. Kumagai took over, continuing from there. So what are you trying to say? Do you not want us to intervene because this is a civil matter between Rena Ryugu and Tatsuyoshi Kasai? Hello, Lem. How are you? I hope you're doing well. That's not going to happen. We're going to give her protection. Mion opened her mouth for the first time in a while. You need to explain to me why the police have to protect Rena Ryugu to begin with. Nice. I'm glad to hear that. Why? Because you guys are after her. Oishi answered bluntly, but Mion remained nonchalant. That must have made him all the more annoyed. What makes you think we're after her? Why don't you ask what's in your chest? Might know something. Oh, Mr. Oishi, we're here to resolve our misunderstandings. It's your choice not to listen to us, but I think it's better that you do. Oh, and what are we misunderstanding exactly? Your misunderstanding concerns the scrapbooks of Miyatakana that Rena Ryugu is in possession of. The officer's expressions grew stern all at once. All of a sudden, she'd gotten straight to the point. You want to protect Rena Ryugu because she has the scrapbooks. Isn't that right? Turn this down slightly. Oishi and his subordinates glared back at her without saying a word, making it obvious that her guess was right. Let me know if the music's too loud or too quiet, by the way. I'm terrible at telling. I hate audio mixing. Awful at it. Kasai. God, that noise gave me a jump. Okay, glad to hear it. Akane gave him a look and he left the room. However, he shortly returned, carrying a black suitcase. Every one of the officers assumed there was a tremendous amount of money in the suitcase and that the Sonozaki family was trying to buy them off. Kasai opened the suitcase and showed the contents to the police. Are these are Miyatakana's scrapbooks. I'm afraid we don't have the ones she gave to Rena Ryugu. This is going to be our main course for today. Do you mind if I take a look? No, feel free. We can talk after you read them. I'll make my people leave if you like. Oh no, you don't have to do that. The cops produced latex gloves in their pockets, put them on and took one of the scrapbooks out of the suitcase. There were more than 10 of them in there. We found them in Miyatakana's house in Okonomiya after she passed away. Oishi and the others desperately turned the pages of the well-timed scrapbooks. You sure these are real? Without doubt. Mr. Oishi, if Rena Ryugu has the other scrapbooks, that means maybe the ones she has have the same kind of stuff in them. Oishi looked stunned by the contents of the scrapbooks. He started turning the pages faster, then faster! Jesus, I can't speak! then close the scrapbook roughly. Lynn, you missed the fantastic scene where Keiichi finally remembered that all this shit has happened in the past, and Rika was like, oh, good lord, at long last, finally somebody else who understands the pain that we've been going through. So it was a good scene. Very emotional. I did a terrible job of reading it out because I don't know how to make emotions in my voice. Yes, I'm really intrigued to find out who the bad witch is in Umineko, because she definitely looks like Satoko, but to my knowledge, Satoko is just kind of around, and she's just sort of, she has the bad luck of like coming from a family that nobody likes. So far, she's never been the villain of any of the games, so maybe she turns bad later on, but certainly for now. Do all of these have the same contents as this one? What kind of contents? Yes, they do. Feel free to take the time to look at them until you're fully satisfied. The other officers also rapidly turned through the pages. They weren't reading them, just flipping through. They took one scrapbook away from the suitcase after another and flipped through the pages roughly. Mr. Oishi, this is absurd. These are just crappy occult novels. This one says as the netherworld collided with this world and dead souls flowed across the gap. How are we going to use this as proof? Well, yours says something about the netherworld. Mine is about creatures from the bottom of the ocean. This one is about classified weapons of the Nazis. This one is about the legacy of the Mu continent. That one is about Ossie, the mysterious creature in Onegafuchi swamp. Ossie. We can surprise that Rena Ryugu most likely has a scrapbook about the parasite theory we've all heard of. The police were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. The other officers were shooting glances at Oishi. They hadn't said anything to him, but they never really believed in the story of the parasite, let alone the bioterrorism. But Oishi had believed it, and told them he had proof. None of the scrapbooks in front of them said anything about parasites, but it was easy to assume the contents of one scrapbook were no different in nature from another. About to sneeze in a minute. In other words, all of them were just crappy occult novels. My apartment at the moment is mostly comprised of dust, which means I have been sneezing all the time. My poor mother is going to have a nightmare when she comes up to help me move. Well, Oishi appeared unable to accept the fact that was facing him, but now that he was actually looking at it, it was too difficult to ignore. Miyo Takano was an occult geek who had laughable ideas about the legend of Onegafuchi, but Rena took them seriously, and so had Oishi. The other officers could no longer stop themselves from laughing at the ridiculous scrapbooks. Oishi glared at them and they stopped laughing. The main reason Oishi took the story of the parasite seriously was because the Sonozaki family was apparently after Rena Ryugu for the scrapbook she had. Plus, Takano, the owner of the scrapbooks, was killed. Because of these two reasons, he believed that in that occult B novel. Oishi was frustrated without a doubt. He had to accept that he was wrong. Oishi was eager for any information that could help him solve the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa before he retired. A combination of a number of factors made Takano's ridiculous theory become highly creditable to him. Let me ask you something. Why was Miyo Takano killed? We have no idea what happened to Miyo Takano and Jiro Tomatake. Of course you don't. A liar doesn't call himself a liar. Come on, Mr. Oishi. Do you think we do such a lousy job as to let the police find the bodies? Mion wore a cold smile. She had said too much. Akane cleared her throat as if to condemn the statement, and that made Mion shut her mouth. Oishi glared at the young successor, but he knew she was right. Then why are you after Rena Ryugu? We're not. I admit it's our fault we made it look like we were after her. For that we apologise. The reasons which made Oishi take Rena's delusion seriously collapsed one by one. Mion and Akane looked at each other. They must have decided to let Akane speak. She did so firmly. We'd like to ask you a favour. We don't want to be involved with the police because of nonsense like this. We heard that Sankai from the police headquarters started work with the Public Safety Division. They're going to do simultaneous raids on our family using this case as an excuse, aren't they? That had been at Oishi's request. Oishi took Rena's story seriously, and he wanted to find the research facility that was developing the parasite. He was intending to use it as proof of the potential bioterrorist attack. But as he had no idea where to start looking, he tried to conduct simultaneous raids on all the facilities the Sonozaki family owned in the entire prefecture, in cooperation with the task force for gang groups and public safety. Normally the circumstantial evidence he had wouldn't be enough to get the cooperation. In fact, public safety doubted Oishi's source, because they hadn't heard of any potential terrorist attacks. They trusted their information network. But Oishi took advantage of his long career and his old friends, and he managed to get them to cooperate. Oishi's face broke out in a nervous sweat. Needless to say, he realised he was completely wrong. We caused you some trouble during the dam conflict, but the era is reaching its end and things have changed. I really have forgotten how to speak, and for that I am deeply sorry. Ryaka's agreed that sides with the weak and crushes the strong, but we're also trying to achieve peace and stability, in line with these changing times. If you get raided now, we're going to lose face. Who cares about your face? I know we'll find something with those raids. We're going to go through with them. If you find something, good for you. But if you don't, you know it'll cause a big liability issue that even you won't escape lightly, Mr. Oishi. Alright, sounds like you really do want all-out war. Huh? Huh? If that's what you want, please carry out your job to your own satisfaction. We'll take on the challenge any time. But Akane's son Azake didn't betray Oishi's expectations. Although her right to become the successor was taken away, Akane had been through a lot more than Mion. Oishi couldn't back out now. But he knew it was a fight he probably couldn't win. Kumagai butted in and tried to calm him down. If we put a stop to the raids, what will we get in return? Mion answered this time. We'll give you these scrapbooks as proof of our friendship. I'm sure you can use them to cancel the raid attempts. These scrapbooks proved how ridiculous Mio Takano's theory was. Takano was dead anyway. Oishi could show people these scrapbooks and say he was fooled. He could still pretend the whole raid thing never happened. He might have to take responsibility for it, but if he didn't back off now, there'd be no doubt that he'd face a hopeless mess. If he was going to back off, it was now or never. The administrative staff at the station weren't exactly fond of him. If he made such a huge mistake right before his retirement, people who'd been looking for a chance to revenge would cut his pension with glee. His pension was decided by multiplying his base salary by a certain number. If they cut his base salary, there was no way he could avoid a big reduction. Mr. Oishi. He decided to back off. It was hard for him to admit mistakes at his age. He grimaced with anger. Kuma, can you take over from here? I think I had too much to drink. I'm going to get some fresh air on the porch. Excuse me. Oishi stood up quickly and left the room, making a lot of noise as he walked. Kasai closed the door Oishi left open. The room was filled with silence again. At that point, Kumagai opened his mouth. We understand your point. Our intention isn't to cause trouble to all the organisations you own, so I want to confirm that the police and the Sanozaki family will help each other to maintain the peace of the city. Therefore, we're going to put off doing simultaneous raids. Thank you very much. I'm sure our leader, Oreo, will appreciate your concern as well. As you promised, we'll take the scrapbooks, and there are 2 more conditions. Go ahead. First, if you find the other missing scrapbooks, you must bring them to us immediately. Second, if you find Rena Ryugu, you must turn it over to us immediately as well. I'm afraid the second one is unacceptable. Rena Ryugu is in a state of delusion. We'll make sure of her safety and we'll find the best medical facility we can take her to. She has the right to receive treatment. We can't accept that either. We have the right to question her about the murder of Takano as a material witness, not as a suspect. Akane whispered to Mion. Mion in turn nodded and began to speak. Very well, we'll accept the second condition, but let us add another condition on top of that. We're going to send her a lawyer. You will only question her in the lawyer's presence. Understood. One more thing. You aren't allowed to delay us by not sending the lawyer on purpose. We'll start questioning right after we find her. We have no problem with that, but you must contact us immediately after she's found. We will as soon as we can. Akane cut in. You have to call us before you question her. You must call us the very moment she's found. This agreement is made in good faith, founded on our mutual trust. So please, do be careful not to do anything that might waste it. Understood. You have my word on that. We'll try to keep our promise with the best of intentions. Akane and Kumagai glared at each other for a moment. Surprisingly, Kumagai was very calm. He was always in the shadow of Oishi, who was loud and noisy, but he had as much guts as his superior did. Oishi was good at taking care of matters in a rough and threatening kind of way, but Kumagai was good at negotiations like this. The meeting ended and the police stood up from their seats. The tension in the room had finally ceased. Kasai put the scrapbooks back in the suitcase and handed it to Kumagai. Kumagai looked at Kasai, nodded lightly, and took what was offered him. What I've always wondered in these is, at the end of book 3, I think Kuma dies and the car that Oishi was in goes missing, and I've always wondered about that. I guess that was because of the, swamp gas at the end of book 3, but I do not know. This is a very expensive case made in Italy. Please take it as a souvenir from us. No, we're only supposed to take the scrapbooks. We'll return it to your office later. Thank you for your time. Please give my regards to the family head, Ms. Oreo. The officers left after bowing to Mion. After making sure the police had left the hallway, Mion sighed heavily and finally let go of her tension. She spread her feet on the floor, flapping the rim of her skirt. Oh man, my shoulders hurt. Why didn't you take care of this, Mum? Don't be silly. Your rank is higher than mine. Rank is everything, not age. Hey, Kasai, have a waitress bring me a beer. Oh, and you can let the grunts in and give them something cold to drink too. You want me to bring only beer? Oh, she can't drink. Bring some orange juice for her. Don't treat me like a little kid. Guess my rank doesn't matter to you, huh? You'll always be a big baby to me. Anyway, your father pulled many strings for you this time. You should thank him. And you too, Kasai. You have to play it smarter when meeting with the common man. I'm a little embarrassed. By the way, I'm very impressed with Rena for making a fool out of Oishi. You have many friends with good potential. I'd like to meet her. We can go see a play together or something. Kasai, whenever you see her next time, let her know I said that. And don't tell her any more creepy stories, alright? Of course, I'm well aware of that. With that, they successfully dispelled the magical power of Takano's scrapbooks. The whole mess shouldn't grow any larger. The only remaining problem was Rena. Where could she be hiding? Dun dun dun! The problem shouldn't grow any larger, eh? Eh? Elbows. Yawn repeatedly. Before I went to bed, I headed to my window to close the curtain. I saw the shadow of a person near the porch. Who could it be so late? Well, I didn't have to guess who it was. There was only one person I knew who might come see me so late. I opened the window and looked more carefully this time. I was right. It was Rena. She was just standing still under the light. I wondered how long she'd been there for. It didn't look like she was going to ring the doorbell. She was just standing there. She seemed to be asking herself whether to ring the doorbell or not. How long had she been hesitating in front of my door? It looked like even standing was giving her a hard time. She looked very tired. I ran down the stairs, put my sandals on, and rushed out the house. Rena looked surprised to see me, even though I came out after making a lot of noise. Rena? Is that you? Rena! She looked relieved to see me for a moment, but she soon glanced downwards and looked sad again. How long have you been standing here? I don't know. Maybe since the sunset? Rena must have been staying somewhere outside for the last 2 days at the very least, and it wasn't like she'd been camping for fun. She'd been in a state of high tension the whole time, believing that someone was trying to kill her. Rena looked utterly exhausted. She seemed to have taken care of the deep scratch she made on her neck the other day with some large band-aids. The band-aids are cute pictures, but that only made the wound on her neck look more painful. I'm gonna sneeze again. Possibly. Maybe not. I saw some band-aids soaked with blood on her arms and body too, and I could tell she made them herself. She had more scars than she had last night. Anyway, let's go inside. You haven't eaten anything for 2 days, have you? When I tried to take her in the house, she refused with a vague expression on her face. It wasn't that she didn't want to go in the house, it was more like she had to refuse because she thought she didn't deserve it. I can't take it anymore. Even at this moment, the maggots are moving through my body. It's just really bad and it feels like they're about to come out from everywhere. Rena, I think you have some kind of disease. Why don't you get some rest here and we'll go to the clinic first thing in the morning. He understands your delicate situation, so he'll see you in private. No, I know it. I know exactly how Mr. Tomitake died. I'm trying not to do what he did for as long as possible. Rena believed she was giving some kind of suspicious drug that made her made her want to claw at her neck to death, just like Mr. Tomitake did. She'd convinced herself that it was going to happen. She wouldn't hear anything else right now. But she really wanted somebody to help her. She wanted help, but when someone tried to give her a hand, it looked like the hand of the devil. If this was some kind of disease, what a horribly depressing disease it was. Well, I don't know how I'm going to die, but I don't think I have much time. It's not going to happen. You're a member of our unbeatable club, Rena Ryugu. You're not going to die so easily. Thanks. Well, I wanted to say sorry before I die. Sorry? For what? Yesterday, I said terrible things to you and I hurt your feelings. She must be talking about last night. She trusted me, but when Mr. Oishi told me about my past, she felt betrayed. And after that, everything I did out of goodwill seemed like the opposite to her. I know what that's like. I once felt the same way about you, Rena. Well, before I moved here, I did many horrible things too. A lot, actually. Really? I didn't know. What I did is beyond comparison. You just shot someone with a toy gun. I hit somebody's head really hard with a metal baseball bat. Everybody got hurt really badly. And I also broke the windows in my school and I know, but I don't care about any of that. You did that before you moved here. That's why you stopped being Rena Ryugu and became Rena after you moved here, right? To me, you're my best friend who's very kind, thoughtful and fun. That's the most important thing. I don't care who you were before. So, I was way worse than you were. I have no right to say you're not my friend. I felt the same way too. I was afraid of you because I heard about your past. Oh, you knew? Rena laughed sadly. She seemed shocked to find out that I knew about her history when she thought I didn't. But I was like, so what? Eh? It doesn't matter how bad you were before you moved here. You've been through ups and downs and tears and laughter, but since you moved to Hinamizawa, you've been living a proud life. Sorry for the sound. The important thing is you regret what you did. That's all that matters. You've grown up to be a respectable person. I don't care about your past. I should have noticed it earlier. Rena is Rena. That's why she's Rena Ryugu. I couldn't understand that simple thing when she said she wasn't Rena. You heard about my past too, right? I was pretty bad as well. I was such a brat. I regret the stupid things I did. So I thought moving here was a good opportunity for me to start over. I believe I've been the person I wanted to be since I moved to Hinamizawa. Isn't it the same with you, Rena? The important thing is that you're Rena Ryugu. You wanted to be in Hinamizawa, so I don't care about whoever Rena Ryugu was. I've forgotten how words work. Yeah, you're right. We can start our life over as many times as we want. We might make a lot of mistakes and hurt ourselves, but that lets us become the people we want to be. You fall once or twice in your life, but that's life. We can't let that beat us down. We have to keep growing. So, I was such an asshole for getting scared of you because of your past. It doesn't matter how many times you fall. When you go through a lot of pain, you can be kinder to others. So I don't need to know your past, and even if I knew it, it shouldn't have changed the way I treated you. But we were fools. We couldn't understand that until we went through things like this ourselves. Me knew that from the beginning. We were such fools. We hurt each other and we made each other cry. So Rena Ryugu is, and always will be, my best friend forever. When you have to go through a hard time, I'll help you no matter what. Trust me on that. Thank you. I trust you, Keiichi. It's very tragic, but what she said isn't true. She probably didn't mean to lie, but I knew she didn't trust me from the bottom of her heart. My words didn't reach her. I knew that because Rena kept telling me to trust her that time. She kept saying those words while I kept hitting her with a bat, but they still didn't reach me. I don't think I have much time left. But I'll try my best to save Hinamizawa because wonderful people like you live here. No, Rena. I'm not going to let them take over this village. I'll fight so we can regain the peaceful days we had. I'll defeat their conspiracy. She said that she trusted me, but she didn't understand anything I was saying. Even if I kept telling her that the conspiracy was Mr. Kano's delusion, it wouldn't reach her. Thank you, Keiichi. Thank you for forgiving me. I do. I forgive you. So please forgive me for what I did to you. I'm going to save Hinamizawa, I promise. So, Keiichi, will you help me? I trust you, only you, Keiichi. We can save Hinamizawa together. Rena. I knew how bad of a corner Rena was driven into. If I was her, I'd be walking around with a baseball bat, thinking every single person around me was my enemy. Rena cared about me so much, but I saw her as my worst enemy. But Rena, you still trust me, even when you're driven into this bad of a corner. I couldn't understand what you were saying. I beat you to death while you kept telling me to trust you. But you're different. You still trust me? You are so... Why are you crying? I'm sorry. I'll never betray you. I trust you, Rena, so please forgive me. I don't know what you're talking about. You've always believed in me, Keiichi. So I trust you too. I can trust you, right? You're the only one who trusts me, right? Tears fell from my eyes. I sobbed and nodded again and again to answer her. Tears welled up in Rena's eyes too. Before I knew it, we were putting our foreheads together with tears in our eyes. Well, I found a way to end this battle. Really? Yeah, I might not stand a chance, but this is the best and only resistance I can think of. Rena, I don't know what you're going to do, but if you do that, we can regain our happy days, right? We can, can't we? We have to, or I'm not going to let you go anywhere. Don't worry, Keiichi. It's going to be a come-from-behind victory and we'll regain our happy days for sure. I don't know what she had on her mind. It began with a delusion and then it would end with a delusion. If I encouraged her too much, she'd twist it into an attack on her. I was like that at the time. I took Rena's goodwill as the complete opposite thing, so I stopped denying her story. This was Rena's battle. It was her lonely battle. She had to fight against her own delusion. The more we tried to help her, the more we drove her into a corner. But I would always be there for her. Whenever she needed help, she could reach me. I wanted to let her know that, so I said just one thing. I'm on your side until the very last moment. No matter what, I'm on your side. Even if I told her to trust me, I knew she couldn't right now. I knew that, but I told her those words anyway. Even if she couldn't believe them and if she tried to smash my head in, I'd say those words. I keep saying them until I die. Thank you, Keiichi. Everything will be over tomorrow. We'll win for sure. And then we can play around in the club together again. With everyone. We'll return to our happiest times. Although she wished to regain our happy times so badly, I couldn't get rid of the darkness that controlled her mind. Well, I have to go now. I have to get ready for tomorrow. To tell the truth, I didn't want to let her go. I wanted to stop her even if I had to grab her arm. But I couldn't stop her like that. If I grabbed her arm, she wouldn't trust me anymore. Wait, Rena, what do you have to do to get ready for tomorrow? It's a secret. I might ask you for help later. You'll help me when I do, right? Of course. I nodded strongly so she could tell that I was still on her side. But I didn't know what her come-from-behind victory meant at this point. The first thing I could think of is that she was going to invade the house of the Tsumihoroboshi family, which she thought was her enemy. So I called Mion to warn her after Rena left. Mion laughed bitterly and said, "Why does everybody want us to be the bad guys so much?" But she understood the situation. It'd be easier if we really did act like the bad guys. Might be better if we tied her down and took her to hospital. If it comes to that, I guess we have no choice, but I want to believe her until the last second. She still had the strong heart to trust me no matter how badly she's been driven into a corner. She's not like me. So I'm sure she can defeat her delusion. It's hard for this old man to understand what you and Rika have been talking about these days. Did anything serious happen lately? You can say it happened lately in a way. I killed Mion a couple of days after the festival. Sorry, I've been talking crazy lately. Anyway, please don't lose confidence in Rena, alright? You know I won't. Anyone can catch a cold of the heart sometimes. Just happened to Rena this time, and that's all. Well, she has a relatively high fever, but I'm sure she'll get better soon and we can laugh about this later. It's not as bad as you think, Keiichi. That silly Oishi admitted his mistake. He doesn't even know about you-know-what. So we'll just say Rena overreacted a little bit and this will be over. Really? Really think you can do that? Do you forget that I'm the next head of the Tsumihoroboshi family? I have both the skill and power to do that. This old man had a meeting with Oishi at a restaurant today and we cleared up all the misunderstandings. Oishi was shaking in fear the whole time. Hey, I'm pretty good, don't you think? Mion bragged about her achievement, laughing loudly. I could tell she was exaggerating a little. Anyway, compared to the sense of impending doom Rena seems to be feeling, the others seem to be taking it rather easy. It was all up to Rena now. If she understood everything, she could go back to the peaceful world she wished for. We were waiting for her to reach out to us, just like we did by the abandoned car at the garbage dump that day. Rena, I couldn't win. But I know you can, because you're the one who told me to have faith until the end. So I know you can win. That didn't mean she could literally win the last battle she was talking about earlier, but Rena would win. She'd win and she'd regain her peaceful life. Oh, I'm intrigued by the mechanics of this, like, world-repeating thing. Like, what happens to the rest of the world when our days reset? Does it just, like, snap out of existence, or... Last night, she said, oh baby do 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 do, do 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 do, and I feel left out. So I turn around. Fucking banger. Tomorrow is the day. Hmm? Oh, you mean the day we die? It's going to end up the same way this time, just like the last time. I don't know about that. It's been very similar to the last one, but there were some things that were different too. Katie remembered what happened. That's impossible. There's no way he could remember. I mean, there's no way he could know. The more you say that, it's absolutely impossible, the more it makes me feel like this is a real miracle. There's nothing we can do. It's going to end up the same way again. I'm not sure about that. Yes, it will. Everything will be over. When the Higurashi cry. Was it all going to end anyway? The more often you throw a die, the closer the total will get to the average. When you throw a die 100 times, even if a miracle happens and you get 6 2 or 3 times in a row, the total will average out at the end. That's a fact of statistics. But when you throw a die 100 times, the total number ranges from 100 to 600. The more you throw, the greater likelihood that the number will converge on the average. Yeah, that's sort of where I'm going as well. There's a good chance that it may, like, be explained at some point. I guess also so you could almost also think of it as like a sort of a pocket universe where something happens at the start that causes the repetition to happen, and then when the story ends, when they're all dead, for lack of a better phrase, then the repetition ends. Because like in Onikakushi, we never learn whatever happened to Satoko or Rika. Like it was their death was never explained. We know in book 1, the only people that of the main 5, let's say, we know die are Keiichi, Rena, and Mion. Chion didn't even exist at that point, so she had like nothing to do with it, unless she like happened at the same time to kill Satoko and Rika, pre-capturing. In book 2, given that book 5 was basically an answer to book 2, we know how everyone died, and really we know why everyone died, and that it was sort of revenge killing. In book 3, we know that somebody kills Rika, we don't know who, and then I think it's the gas that kills everybody else. Book 4, we don't even exist in book 4, we just know that Rika dies. So I wonder if there's like, no matter what happens in the meantime, at the end, on the final day, there is always this gas cloud that kills everybody in the town, and then we like wind up in the hospital, and that's when they're sort of, after our death is when the pocket universe sort of winks out of existence. But like in book 3, Keiichi lingers for months after the gas cloud, and then he sort of dies much later, and there's history books written about it, so maybe the pocket universe just keeps going. There's just like all these worlds where, you know, different alternate universes where there's just this terrible thing that happens to this one village in rural Japan, and the rest of the world ticks along quite happily without them. Anyway, the more you throw, the greater the likelihood that the number will converge on average. But the truth is, the more you throw, the more possible outcomes you create. There are 500 different futures you can create by throwing a die 100 times. There are 5,000 different futures you can create by throwing a die 1,000 times. There might be one future amongst all of them that enables you to actually finish this never-ending game of dice. Keiichi showed me a miracle, and it taught me that it's not a waste of effort to keep throwing the die. Don't give in to something like an average. You think we'll never have a different ending, don't you? I can tell, because it's written all over your face. I think so too. I think we're going to have the same ending this time again. But I'm not going to give up hope until I throw the die for the final time. Keiichi taught me that. Something is going to be different this time. I'll try to believe in that. Rika, you're a very strong person. Yeah, I know. That's because I'm a lot younger than you. Rika? Meep, why are you still awake? It's not good to stay up so late. I'm sorry, I couldn't sleep, so I was just looking at the stars. I'm going to bed now. Please do. Good night, Rika. Good night, Satoko. Oof! That's a phrase and a half. Yeah, book 3 is the most intriguing one, because that's really the only one where we know that something happens to our characters afterwards. Because in book 3, Kuma, I believe, dies and Oishi goes missing. but at the end of book 4, he definitely still exists because the protagonist, who I cannot remember from book 4, meets up with him. It's sort of implied that everybody else dies regardless of who you actually see die on camera, but it's really only in, so far at least, books 2 and 5 that everybody is killed on camera. The only one of the main group killed on camera in book 3 is Rika, and even then, we have no idea why. I don't know. Maybe the game explains it. What's the next one? Overcome a tragedy. Well, this looks great. Or maybe it's sort of... it sort of seems to me like Umineko definitely is like the spiritual successor to this game. Sort of perhaps building on... I mean, you would know better than I do, certainly. Building on the themes of it, but with a different story. It seems a little bit more like a sort of murder... Well, I suppose this is kind of a murder mystery, but at the same time it's not a murder mystery because you see half of the murders happen on screen, like, done by the POV character, so... I don't know. I wonder if Umineko perhaps conceptually makes it a little clearer. The idea of it being one of the, like, games in Umineko makes it make a bit more sense, because conceptually you can sort of imagine it to be, like, its own separate thing. It's not... If they can use, like, the fantasy, it's a game in Umineko to explain it, then you don't have to worry about the, like, this is happening in the real world, or is it ideas. You don't have to worry about applying, like, real world logic to it, I guess is the phrase I'm getting to. If you can... Yeah. It makes sense, and I think it's a good way of doing it. If you sort of say that everything that happens in Higurashi is a game within Umineko, then in my opinion, it does a really neat way of saying, and then you don't have to worry about real world logic. I wish I could remember, because this reminds me a lot of one of the books in the Haruhi Suzumiya series, and I really wish I could remember how the time leap was explained in that series. I keep mentioning it because it really does, and it just makes me want to reread those books again, because the anime was good, but the books were stellar. Anyway, let's keep going, shall we? Let's see how this all ends. I'm really, after I finish the Higurashi series, I am definitely picking up Umineko, by the way, and I'm probably going to pick up Tsukunya when I finish Umineko as well. Tsukunya, I think, has had books 1, maybe 2 released so far, so... And it seems to be more of like a sci-fi... If this is like a, is it fantasy or not, horror game, and then Umineko is more of a, like, definitely fantasy horror. Tsukunya seems to be sci-fi, but I really don't know. Walking with only me on school made me restless a lot. What's wrong, Keiichi? Why are you looking around? What? Oh, nothing. It was the same old path to school, but I felt nervous for some reason. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, God only knows when I'll get to it, so... But maybe I'll just play it in my own time and then put it up on YouTube afterwards once we're allowed to. Given that I still have 2... This is 6. I still have Higurashi 7 and 8 plus the console arcs. God knows how long that'll take. There's about 3 of those and I don't know how long they are. So I have like 2 to 5 arcs left of the Higurashi series, plus then the whole of Umineko. By the time I actually get round to Tsukunya, they may have lifted the embargo on at least like the first chunk. Plus I'd also only be able to play whatever's released on Steam. So we'll see. It was the same old path to school, but I felt nervous for some reason. I wondered what Rena meant when she said she was going to win a come-from-behind victory last night. I couldn't stop feeling like something dangerous was going to happen. This is all, by the way, completely new territory to me. I have absolutely no memory of this episode, so everything going from here on in is blind. Rena thought Mion was one of her enemies. She could be lying in wait to attack Mion with a knife. Also, I really want to reread the manga. I'm gonna have 2 7-hour flights coming up soon. If I can't sleep, I might, like, download a bunch of the manga onto my laptop or something. Don't worry, Ren isn't gonna go do something as rash as that. Even if she does, I can protect myself. Mion said it brightly, as if trying to tell me she wasn't afraid of anything. But I couldn't be optimistic like her, because I knew exactly what Rena was going through. Rena must be a bit determined by now, and she probably wouldn't mind dying fighting against Mion if she wasn't going to win anyway. Of course, that didn't mean she was definitely going to take violent action, but I couldn't deny the possibility either. This old man was more concerned about the reason why Rena went crazy all of a sudden. Was there any reason? I remembered the tragedy. I couldn't remember what made the world go crazy, but I remember we got lost in that awfully scary world. It started with small things, and those small things continued to pile up on top of one another. If you thought about it calmly, you'd laugh because it was really a stupid thing. But once those tiny little stupid things started to bother you, you couldn't ignore them. It was that kind of disease, if you could call it one. But there must have been a reason. There must have been a reason that made the world go crazy. This is sort of what I mean, as there's something that, you know, the universe always starts the same way, and then there's something that makes it splinter off into its own particular brand of crazy. Certainly in the case of books 2 and 5 rather, it is the fact that way back when the Mion and Shion got mixed up and sort of lived each other's lives, and Shion sort of got forced into her role as subordinate and had her life stolen from her, and then later had her boyfriend disappeared from her. So, that was something that could not have been fixed before, but I mean, Shion appeared so far? Maybe like once at a football game, but I suppose because this is a retelling of Onikakushi in a way, she doesn't really need to. Anyway. No, yeah, she did appear. She appeared a few times, but definitely a side character here. I'm very forgetful today. Must have been a reason that made the world go crazy. But it must be such a small thing that you couldn't even notice. And unfortunately, the reason was very difficult to understand. You wouldn't be able to figure out until you died. I have a relative who's a doctor. He said that if you have a tumour in specific parts of your brain, it can change your personality, make you a totally different person. People who suffered from this disease used to be considered haunted by devils or possessed by foxes. People dramatised it like it was something occult. You mean Rena's suffering from a physical disease in her brain? In her case, it might be better to say that it's a mental disease. Rena was upset and mentally unstable because of the murder of Rena and Teppei. At a time like that stupid Oishi told her about what happened to Mr. Toмотaki in an exaggerated way. I think Mr. Oishi and Mr. Kano's scrapbooks have many things in common. Really? Like what? Well, he believes in the series of mysterious deaths of Hinamizawa, but that's a delusion, isn't it? I mean, something actually did happen for 5 years in a row, but I think there's no series of murders in the first place. It was true that the mysterious incidents happened 5 years in a row, but they were each solved individually. It was the same as a past you didn't need to talk about. We thought of them as a series of mysterious deaths, which is why we thought something was going to happen this year too. Led us to think that there was a conspiracy and that the Sonozaki family was behind it. We connected those things to the series of mysterious deaths, but we shouldn't do that in the first place. Just like I tried to keep my distance from Rena when I found out about her dark past. Wasn't everybody trying to keep their distance from the dark past of Hinamizawa? Mr. Kano's scrapbooks are a good example. She dramatised both recent events and old cruel history, and she made feasible stories out of them, saying that the Sonozaki family was behind it all. Mr. Oishi did the same thing too. Oh, did I accidentally click out of the game? Sure did. He was so convinced that the Sonozaki family was behind it all that it was making him interpret things the wrong way. In that sense, we could say Oishi believed in the same delusion as Rena. Move the mouse that way. I think the Sonozaki family is partially accountable for that, because you guys act like you're behind it every time something happens. In this village, people think it's the doing of the Sonozaki family whenever something strange happens. It's like a magic world that makes everything settle. It's a magic word that makes everything settle down. It's like those people who say they can explain all the phenomena in this world with plasma. Never heard that one. What's that supposed to mean? You saying all of this is the Sonozaki family's fault? Exactly. It's all your fault. So I'll call you Plasma Mion from now on. Sounds like a wrestler's name. Well, I like professional wrestlers. Sorry for the weird noises. I'm mooshing my candle down so that it burns as much of the wax as possible. Hey, Keiichi, do you know what abdominal stretching is? Stop, I don't want to wrestle with you in this freaking hot weather. No, that hurts. As it should be, you know? Keiichi's getting beaten up and that's how we know that it's a day ending and why. My candle is really about to burn down. Good morning, Keiichi. Good morning. Stoko and Rika looked a little sad when they saw only the two of us. If the three of us came to school like always, they would have been really happy. But one of our classmates were noisy as usual. Nobody seemed to make a big deal about Rena's absence. Miss Chia was going to be here soon and she'd start morning homeroom. Everyone was falling around as if they didn't want to miss a minute of the time until then. Hey, something stinks today. Close the windows. Silly, it'll be hotter in here if we do that. Smelled like gasoline or something in it. Oh no. Rena, no. Really stank. Someone from the forestry service must have been putting gasoline in the construction equipment or something. Some students near the window were making a fuss because they wanted to close the windows to shut out the smell. Our school wasn't a normal school compared to others. We were using part of the forestry service school. Unusual things like this happened sometimes. Forestry service building, rather. This is nothing. I remember they once put a few piles of juniper branches. That was awful. It had the distinct, irritating odour that gave us all headaches. What's a juniper? Meep. That's the name of a vegetable. We sometimes put it in curry. You should look for it next time you go grocery shopping. Huh? Huh? I know a little about vegetables, but it seems like it'd be better to have Rika and Katie taste it first, just in case. What? Our ball is missing. You hit it again, didn't you, Hojo? The boys seemed to be looking for the ball for a while, and they yelled at Stoko. Why would I hide such a stupid thing? If I was going to hide anything, I'd hide something better than that. Hey, Miss Chio's coming. Everybody take a seat. Hello, everyone. Get to your seats. I kept thinking about Rena the whole time during class. I thought about what she said last night. I wonder what her come from behind victory means. According to Mr. Kano's delusion, the masterminds behind the bioterrorism were the three families and a group of fanatical believers that controlled those three. In other words, the Sonozaki family. What could Rena do alone against them? Mion lived with her grandmother, the leader of the Sonozaki family. There were only two of them in the house. It was possible that Rena would try to break into their house with a knife, but I'd already come up with that possibility last night. That's why I called Mion and warned her. On the way to school this morning, Mion told me some bodyguards from the Corps had been at her house this morning. She told me she'd be guarded herself too. There was a black car parked near the school gate. They must have been the bodyguards. But according to Kano's parasite theory, the battle wouldn't end just by attacking the leader of the Sonozaki family. According to the delusion she believes in, the conditions of the victory were more complicated than that. She needed to expose the group of fanatics who were behind the Sonozaki family, and she needed to destroy their research on the parasite. Plus, Rena didn't have much time left, thanks to that suspicious poison she mentioned. But how exactly could she win a come-from-behind victory under circumstances like that? She might interpret the town council group of fanatics. If so, she might attack them the next time they have a meeting at the shrine. Town council meets once a month at most. It would be hard to believe that they were holding a meeting today. She probably thought the place researching the parasite was the Irie clinic. Rena suspected that there was something fishy about the clinic from the beginning, and that suspicion must have changed to certainty in her head by now. Did that mean she was going to attack the clinic? This wasn't like an action movie. What could she do all by herself? Was she going to start a fire? No, that'd be pointless. In order to expose the conspiracy, she'd have to get proof that they were actually studying the parasite. Was she going to break into the clinic and get questionable, weird samples? Last problem of all was how much time she had left. She believed she didn't have much time left, especially under desperate, disadvantageous conditions. She might try to stab whoever she thought was an enemy. But Rena sounded like she really believed she would regain her happy and peaceful days after everything was over. Rena probably meant she was going to stay alive and win. Was there something like an antidote? It didn't have to be real. As long as it was an antidote to Rena's delusion, it didn't matter what it was. It could even be the water you wash your vegetables with. But if she thought she could get the antidote so easily, she wouldn't have been so desperate about the time she has left. The antidote must have been difficult for her to get. The easiest place for that, in her delusion, was that it was hidden somewhere in the clinic. Putting it all together like that, I felt like Irie and his clinic were in danger. Now that I thought about it, the elderly people in the village, including the members of the town council, hang out in the waiting room in the clinic all the time. Most of the board members happened to gather there. For her, it would be the perfect place to attack. I told Mion about that during lunch break. If this was a normal situation, I'd say she wouldn't do such a stupid thing, but I can't actually deny the possibility. I'm going to call my house and make sure they send some people to the clinic. Mion didn't object to my crazy idea. She put down her chopsticks and went to the teacher's office to make a phone call. It sounds so dangerous. I can hardly believe Rena's going to do such a scary thing. You sure she's going to attack the clinic? Maybe she will, maybe she won't. But if that happens, we're screwed. We need to prevent that disaster from happening. I hope nothing happens at all. Sometimes I want to select the bad end just to see what happens, but I think I might do like a bad end special or something. It'll be alright. Okay. I'll send 2 of our subordinates to the clinic. I don't think she'll do it, but you never know what's going to happen. Can we capture her by force if she does? Honestly, I don't want to do that. What do you think we should do? We made an agreement with the cops that we're going to give Rena Ryugu to them right after we find her. So even if we use force to capture her, we won't get in trouble. I'm not worried about losing face. I just feel sorry for Rena. I really want to settle this calmly if possible. Well, she's still young, so as long as she didn't kill someone or something, all she has to do is apologise and everything will be fine. Well then, she might be out of our hands, haha. Oh, I mean, you know, as long as they don't find out about it, she'll be safe. She'll definitely be safe. Nobody really cares about the disappearance of those 2 anyway. People think they ran away somewhere because they did something wrong. Those things happen all the time. So she's fine. Don't worry about it. She's out. She's safe. What? We playing baseball now? Haha. Anyways, please be careful. Will do. So it's okay to capture her by force, right? Don't make any mistakes. You have to get her. Please don't make it like a chase scene or anything like that. Couldn't help but have a silly chat with Kasai. When I put the phone down, I sensed Miss Chie was looking at me. No wonder she'd been able to hear the conversation clearly in this tiny room. Miss Chie put a spoon down and with a sad look on her face, she asked the following. Were you talking about Miss Ryugu? Ah, yes. Sonosaki, do you know why Ryugu ran away from home? You're close, aren't you? It was hard for anyone to understand Rena's situation except for me and Keiichi, so most of them thought that Rena just ran away from home. But after she did, the cops made too much of a fuss over it. Oishi stupidly believed the scrapbooks were a big scoop, not spook, although they were also a big spook to be honest, and overreacted in trying to find Rena. He had patrol cars running around everywhere in the village. He even used the town council's phone directory to find her. So people in the village thought Rena did something wrong and was trying to run from the cops. What was going to be difficult for me, more than finding her, was to make up a story to retrieve Rena's honour after they detain her. What about this? Rena went for a walk, fell down and hit her edge on the edge of some tofu and lost her memory. Oishi misunderstood something big time and thought she was a criminal. It's too easy. Anyway, so we did make it clear that Oishi was the one who misunderstood everything at the meeting the other day. I had to make the best use of his name while he was feeling down for once. What I'd have to do was to not make a big deal about the situation, and to create an environment that allowed Rena to forget everything that happened in order to get her life back together as soon as possible. Everything is going to be fine, Miss Chie. Rena's a little sick right now, that's all. A fat cop somehow made a lovely mistake and got things twisted around. I can't believe that Rena did something wrong, that she's trying to run from the police, do you? Of course not, but making a family worry by running away from home isn't a good thing to do either. She had a fight with her father and she ran away from home for a little while. She acted childish and that's all. Maybe that'd be the best story to go with. Wonder if she had some problems she couldn't talk to anyone about. Must be a bad teacher because I never realised it. Wish I could have sat down and talked with Ryugu before all this happened. Miss Chie, you're taking it too seriously. You need to relax. It's normal for young kids nowadays to run away from home for a while. Oh no. What am I going to do if Ryugu becomes one of those bad kids and starts doing really bad things? Ryugu becomes a bad kid. 1. She does something bad and gets arrested by the police. It's a teacher's responsibility. I'll be dishonorably discharged. I can't eat curry anymore. I'm dead. Oh no. Oh no. Miss Chie seemed comically upset by her own imagination. Looked funny, so I decided to leave her alone. I made to leave the teacher's office to go back to the classroom, but right then the phone rang. Hello, this is the Hinamazawa branch school. Miss Chie had to answer the phone all day today because the principal was on a business trip. I exited to the hallway. Then I heard the tone of a voice change. What? Where are you right now? What? I yelled and looked back at her. It's probably Rena. She called the school. Tried to go back inside the teacher's office, but Miss Chie gestured at me not to come in. Miss Chie acknowledged what Rena was saying several times, and then she looked up at the clock. Okay, I'll be there. I'm your teacher. You promised me, alright? She said only that, put the phone down and got her purse out of her locker. Class president, I have an emergency to take care of. I'm going out for a while, so please have everybody study by themselves while I'm gone. She took a car key out from her purse. It was obvious she was going to see Rena somewhere. Miss Chie, was that Rena? That's all. You're in charge of the class, okay? Miss Che completely ignored me and ran out into the hallway. She ran to the schoolyard and got into her car. The moment her car left through the gate, I ran out to the schoolyard myself. I headed for the black car parked near the gate and knocked on the window. What are you doing, milady? Everything's quiet so far. I know, but I need you to follow that car that just left. I think she's going to meet Rena. Understood. Rena is very paranoid, so you need to be careful. Bring her to my house right after you catch her. After that, follow Kasai's orders. She's my friend. Better not get her hurt. Rena must have told Miss Che that she wanted to talk to her alone. I could tell that easily from the way she ignored my question. I did feel a little bad for renewing their promise, but it was very important that we called her before she did something wrong. We could still make up an excuse that she was just wandering around because she had a fight with her father and ran away from home. But if she stepped fine to the clinic or something, there'd be nothing I could do. The car made a rough U-turn on the gravel road and it chased after Miss Che's car at full speed. I watched the car until it was gone. All I could do now was pray that this would be settled calmly. Absolutely not, but it's always nice to dream. Hey, pay attention everyone. Well, we need to study by ourselves for the rest of the class today, so get back to your desks and study quietly. Just gonna burn this candle out. Self-studying? Mion ran up to me and spoke quietly. Rena just called. What? Really? Yeah, she just called the teacher's office. I think Miss Che went to meet with Rena. Rena, I wonder what she's going to do. I have no idea. Well, I accidentally just turned off my second screen by mistake. Anyway, I told my bodyguards to follow Miss Che's car. I feel bad for Rena, but we're going to capture her there by force. I hope it works. They're used to doing this kind of stuff. I'm sure they'll do fine. So if they catch her, is everything going to be over? Yeah, we'll send her to a hospital. If a doctor sees her, I'm sure we'll find a typical kind of disease or something. It'll be like obsessive psychosomatic disorder or whatever. When we were spending our afternoon studying peacefully, the members of the Sonozaki family would capture Rena, who was waiting for Miss Che somewhere. The problem would be solved. It was going to be easy after that, but I was sure Mion would take good care of her. And in the end, everybody would understand that Rena just ran away from home because of a silly fight with her father. A happy ending. Oh, it's always good to hope, isn't it? Pardon me. Problem solved, right? Mion winked at me. She looked like she already thought everything was over. But that just didn't sound right to me. I couldn't see any connection between Rena and Miss Che. It was hard to explain, but there was something wrong. I wasn't saying that they didn't get along. Rena was a good student, so Miss Che had a good relationship with her. But I just didn't understand what Rena wanted from Miss Che. When I was thinking about it, the door opened and one of our classmates came back from the bathroom. What? With Rena. Rena. Everybody stand up. Move to the centre of the room. Everybody gasped in surprise. I like that they gave her a sword in... Is it a sword or is it like a pipe on top of a stick? She's definitely got something for stabbing. I like that they gave her that in this reason. I also like that her outfit is basically the same. It's just her head that changes between the two. Even Miss Che could make everybody go so quiet all of a sudden. Rena was gripping the shoulder of the student who came back from the bathroom. Ah! In her other hand, she had a big, scary-looking hatchet. It was the same one she had the other night. Everyone immediately understood that Rena had taken a hostage. I hate, by the way, that sound of, like, a light sparking out. Are you all deaf? Move to the centre of the room. Push the desk to the sides. Nobody grasped what she was asking us to do. We all froze. Rena was the only one smiling. It was terrifying. When did her eyes change? It's like I looked down from the text up and her eyes, like, gone into the possessed version. Mion, you're the class president. Tell everybody to move to the centre. Rena, what are you doing? Bam. A loud noise washed out Mion's voice. Rena hit the teacher's desk hard with her hatchet. She pulled out the hatchet, making an ominous ripping noise. There was now a line of violence carved plainly into the desk. Uh-oh. She broke it. Miss Che is gonna get mad when she comes back. No, that wasn't it. What the hell? I know I couldn't trust you, Mion. I'm going to ask Keiichi then. You're my only friend, right, Keiichi? So I can trust you, can't I? Rena, your eyes... You look so scary. I've never seen eyes like that in my life. Your eyes are full of insanity. Why are people afraid of insanity? Insanity means that a person doesn't share the same values and the same common sense as us. For example, say a thief breaks into your house and he ties you up. You'll get scared and wonder if he's going to stab you before he leaves, but you hope that the thief has feelings too and that he's not going to kill you for no reason. No matter how bad the person is, we tend to believe that in his goodwill as long as we share the same values, the same common sense and the same morals as him. But we can't expect goodwill from somebody who doesn't have those things. We can't expect goodwill from a person who can't communicate with us. When a burglar has a knife and you beg him not to hurt you, you expect him to listen to you and show you mercy. In other words, you can still communicate with him. But if he doesn't have the ability to communicate, he's just like a monster that's trying to attack you, or like the blade of a guillotine that's falling down on you. You fear him because you can't communicate with him. That's insanity. It was the same fear we were feeling towards Rena at that very moment. She looked like a human just like us, but there was no room for her to communicate with us like a normal person could do. Everybody understood that fear instinctively. Keiichi, make them move the desk to make room in the middle. Okay, everybody, let's do as Rena says. Rena was like a barrel of gunpowder at that moment. She seemed really calm and quiet, but she could explode at any minute. When she did, I doubt she'd show us any mercy. She probably wouldn't hesitate to use that hatchet on us. That's right. Just like I didn't feel guilty or hesitate to kill Rena or Mion. Is that what a hatchet looks like? Hatchet. God, this music is good. Yeah, like a hatchet to me always looks like a big axe. Not like this, which looks more like a sword. Although I guess, yeah, having a Google, sometimes you do get these like cleaver style hatchets. Fun fact for you that I've just looked at. Rena, saying that we're moving too slow, hit the blackboard with a hatchet, making a horrible noise. Every time she did that, she left an equally horrible scar on the blackboard, the thing that we looked at most in the school. Keiichi, can you get the jump ropes out from the lockers? Use them to tie our classmates up. I'm not good at tying knots. I probably can't tie them up very well. I'll check one by one if you tie them up well enough. If I find the ropes loose, I'll kill the person, so you better tie them up really well. We were still kids. We saw the word kill all the time. It was used a lot in comic books and cartoons after all. So normally you'd assume we'd be used to hearing the word kill. But when Rena said she'd kill us, it sounded so frightening. I'd never heard something like that before in my life. To Rena, our lives were like cards she could use for negotiation. She'd get rid of one card every time somebody refused her request. Get rid of? Damn it, why did we use such scary words like get rid of for simple things like playing cards? Anyway, there were about 20 students in the class. There was a little bit too many for Rena to handle. She might get rid of one or two just to set an example. I decided to do what Rena said because I didn't want her to lose her temper. I got out everybody's jump ropes from their lockers. All of you, get on the floor. Keiichi, you can start tying their hands behind their backs. Tie them really tight. You're on my side, aren't you? You wouldn't tie them loosely on purpose, would you? Mion tried to make eye contact with me. If everybody was tied down, we wouldn't be able to stop her from occupying the school. There were more than 20 students in this class. Half of them were boys, but most of them were smaller than Rena. But there were enough people here to overpower her. But if we did that, Rena would probably hit her hostage with a hatchet, and she'd use the hatchet to attack the rest of us without hesitation. It'd be a bloody battle. I'm sure somebody would get hurt if we tried to overpower her. The hostage would be seriously injured, or maybe even die. If that happened, it was over. No matter how hard we tried to cover up, she'd never be able to live peacefully like before. Mion seemed to understand that too. I could tell from Rena's eyes that she wasn't going to go easy on us. If somebody showed defiance, she'd break the hostage's head open immediately. Of course, Rena had done that before. She'd probably do it again with no hesitation. But as long as we did what she said, we could prevent that bloody tragedy. If we could somehow solve this situation without shedding any blood, with Mion's influence, we might still be able to pretend that this never happened. At the least, we had to make sure she didn't kill anyone. Let's do as Rena says. Keiichi. Mion tried to think of ways to overpower Rena, but she couldn't come up with any good ideas to save the hostage. That's how easy it would be for Rena to kill them. The best thing to do at that time was to wait for a chance without agitating her further. Mion lay down on the floor, and everybody else followed suit, sluggish with terror. and I was left alone, standing rooted to the swat with jump ropes in my hands. All my classmates were lying face down on the floor, while Rena was pointing the hatchet at the hostage, watching our every move from behind the teacher's desk. I just stood frozen in the middle of it all. Keiichi, there are many things I want you to help me with, so hurry up. If you take too long, some of them might have to die. Some of the little kids started crying when they heard the word die. It's alright, everyone. Keiichi will save you, so nobody's going to die. Damn it. What a bold threat. She said I was her friend, but she was just playing with the meaning of the word. I was the last person who could still fight against Rena under these circumstances, but it wasn't going to be easy to overpower her by myself. I wasn't sure if I could do that. Even if I tried to act tough, once Rena pointed the hatchet at somebody's neck, it was over. I shouldn't fight against her for now. I should just wait for a chance. As long as Rena was alone, there would be a chance. She'd made me tie them up because she couldn't do that by herself. There was a limit to what she could do because she was by herself. If we could cover this up somehow before Miss Chie came back, we'd still be able to pretend like we were kidding around. I finally realised something. I realised why Rena called Miss Chie to meet with her. In order for Rena to take over the classroom, she needed to get rid of Miss Chie. Miss Chie had a very strong sense of justice. Even if Rena had a gun, she wouldn't hesitate to overpower her. She was the kind of teacher who would risk her life for her students. Rena needed to figure out how to get rid of Miss Chie. That was the key to her plan. Rena probably thought about attacking her from behind at first, but there was risk there as Miss Chie was a grown-up woman, so she probably thought that attacking her directly wasn't a wise choice. So naturally, the next option was to let her out somewhere. Rena called Miss Chie and told her she wanted to talk to her in private, in order to let her out to someplace far from here. Most people, including Miss Chie, thought Rena was just running away from home, so Miss Chie must have thought Rena had some problem she wanted to talk to her about. It was too easy to deceive her. Sorry. My headphones got tangled. Where did she make the phone call from? Probably used the phone in the school. Well, not in the school to be exact. She probably used the phone on the second floor of the school, the one that belonged to the forestry service. The school was using part of the forestry service building, but this particular location was more of a branch office, so it's not like somebody was here all the time. Rena knew that, and she'd probably been hiding there for a while. She called the phone on the first floor from the second floor, and she made Miss Chie leave the school. I don't think it was a coincidence that the principal was on a business trip today. She probably snuck into the school yesterday. She saw the principal's schedule, learned how to make the call on the first floor from the second, and carried out her plan. She planned it perfectly. Yeah, I knew it. Rena was insane, but I also knew she was actually really calm. She was possessed by her delusion, but she was also unbelievably calm about it. So she could still think fast. I knew that very well, because I'd been through the same thing before. What was worse is that Mion's bodyguards were gone. Mion told them to follow Miss Chie because she thought Miss Chie was going to meet with Rena. Damn it, everything seemed to be working out in her favour. I'm done. I tied up the last person and I looked in Rena's direction. If I didn't tie them up really tightly, Rena would kill them. But when I tied them too tightly, they suffered in pain. The pain cries made me feel useless. Sorry, if you keep hearing the sound of me wiggling, I'm having really bad leg cramps. I'm going to go for a walk down to the supermarket after this too and stretch my legs out, but I keep having to like wiggle around to try and find a way to sit that's less painful. Thank you, Keiichi. I don't mean to doubt you, Keiichi, but I'll make sure just in case. Please put your hands on your head and lie face down on the floor. And I'm saying this to everybody. If you stand up without my permission, I'll kill you. I'll kill whoever stood up and one more person randomly to set an example. It's not nice to be chosen randomly, huh? Oh, there's a good idea. I called the person who didn't listen to me, add 10 to his or her student number and kill that person too. For example, let's say Okamura didn't listen to me. I'd kill him and Watanabe because his student number is 11. Get it? I'll always be killing two of you at the same time. Better remember that you involve another person's life beside your own when you attempt to stand against me. How awful. She totally understood how to threaten people. Normally you stand against an attacker at your own risk. If you fail, you're going to die. But if you're responsible for someone else, then you couldn't try to resist. You can't risk somebody else's life with your own decisions. Okay, everybody is tied up nice and tight. You said you aren't good at tying knots, but you did very well, Keiichi. You should be proud of yourself. Well, you can stand up now. It was too late to fight back. I followed her orders. I just had to wait for a chance. We could still turn this into some kind of bad joke. I had to do something. Anyway, what were you planning to do, Rena? Don't tell me this is a come-from-behind victory you were talking about. Personally, I thought she was going to set the school on fire, so... I don't know if this is better or worse. She may still be about to do it. I strongly suspect the gasoline from this morning was, Okonomiya PS to all vehicles. Okonomiya PS to all vehicles. A hostage situation has broken out at the Hinamazawa Forestry Service Building. There are reportedly multiple hostages. All vehicles are to head to the Forestry Service Building immediately. Kuma, sorry I'm late. What's going on? Hello, sir. Today, around 1 p.m, the Hinamazawa Branch School's classroom was taken over. All 25 students have been taken hostage. Suspects' initial demands were to prohibit all entry to the Branch School's property and secure a hotline to us. So they're willing to negotiate it with us from the start? What's going on? Also, the suspect is asking for you, Mr. Oishi. It's Rena Ryugu. Ryugu? Ms. Ryugu? Very well. We seem to be inseparable, huh? I'll be dealing with her until the end. Oishi gave a crooked smile. We don't know if she has any accomplices. The curtains are closed, so we can't confirm the situation. Have you asked whoever told us about this? No, Rena Ryugu declared it herself. Therefore, we don't know what's going on inside. The teacher received a call from Rena Ryugu, and she left the classroom before the incident took place. This has been well planned, huh? Has anyone from the forestry service been taken hostage? Nobody from the service was there today. All 25 hostages are students. That number matches with the attendance the teacher took this morning. Plus the suspect, right? Have you seen anyone else suspicious other than Rena Ryugu? No, we've seen someone peeking out behind the curtain, but it was the suspect herself. We're guessing there must be at least one or two more of them, though. Well, maybe she really is doing it by herself. Rena Ryugu was a true believer in Miyoto Kano's scrapbooks. According to those scrapbooks, the entire village was Rena Ryugu's enemy. She didn't have anyone she could trust. However, Oishi had also believed in Miyoto Kano's delusions. It was possible that someone who was influenced in the same way was following Rena Ryugu. Mr. Oishi, the principal, and the teacher are here. Hello, Ms. Chie. Are you okay? Oishi ran up to Miss Chie, who was crying with a handkerchief held up to her face. Rena's a good girl. For her to do something like this, there must be some mistake. If I were to do this by the book, I would ask you about Rena's recent behaviour, but when it comes to Ryugu, I probably know better than you do. Please, don't worry. I'll take care of this as peacefully as possible. Miss Chie was huddled over, and Oishi didn't think he could say anything else to her. On the contrary, the principal was straining strong, trying to figure out how to take care of the situation. Mr. Oishi, please. If possible, I would like to request to be a hostage myself. I will take the place of the children. Let me do that instead. It's all my fault. Please, don't blame yourselves. I have things I want to ask you, so I'd appreciate if you cooperated. Bonchi, please show them the blueprints. Excuse me, sir. Section Chief Takasugi is on the radio. Hello, this is Oishi. Mr. Oishi, how goes things? Kumagai informed me of the situation. Suspect is underage, huh? Please keep strict control of the press. I understand. Also, the suspect is requesting me as a negotiator. Is that okay with you? You've known Rena Ryugu since the parasite incident from the other day. Bet she still thinks you're her ally. Only you can do the job. Good luck. I really don't want to, but since I caused so much trouble, I guess I'll have to do this to make up for it. Mr. Oishi, Rena Ryugu's on the car phone. That was faster than expected. I'll go get it. Thank you. Hello, this is Oishi. Mr. Oishi, this is Ryugu. I've noticed this throughout, but it's intriguing to me that the text in Rena's portions has become redder and redder the more insane she goes. Like, when she first started, it was this very, very light pink, and now it's like, well, last time it was bright red. This is like getting closer to blood red almost. Hello, this is Oishi. Is the signal weak on your car phone? It's kind of hard to hear. Just like me, it's getting old. Oishi and I exchanged friendly words. A long, long cord trailed through the hallway from the teacher's office. The cord extended further to the phone on the podium in the classroom. Let's get down to business. I'll check to see if you're qualified to negotiate for me. Okay, shoot. You are my ally, aren't you, Mr. Oishi? Of course. Let's expose the conspiracy that Sonozaki family together, you and me. Oishi answered without hesitation. Was he still my ally? Or was this sly detective just saying what I wanted to hear? Either way, I only had Oishi to depend on. If I couldn't trust him, I was stuck. There'd be nothing else I could do. You didn't believe me for a while either, did you, Keiichi? But you do know now, right? Keiichi was sitting on the floor, facing away from me, with his head resting in his hands. We're comrades now, huh? Yeah, that's right. Rena Ryugu asked Keiichi Maebara if he was her comrade, but I couldn't hear his voice. Was she trying to tell me that Keiichi Maebara was still alive, or said he was being forced to obey her because of the hostages? Maebara is your ally too, huh? That's nice. But weren't you suspicious of Maebara for a while? Yeah, when I heard about the BB gun incident, I couldn't believe it. But we can't let the past fool us. We have to learn from the past in order to grow. Haha, that's very good. You're absolutely right about that. That was why we forgave each other, so I don't doubt Keiichi anymore. Keiichi is my comrade. I understand. Therefore, Keiichi is my ally too, isn't he? Please say hello to him for me. Sure, I will. Actually, I'd like to say hello to him myself. Can you come to the phone? The conversation stopped suddenly. That made me nervous. Did I say something wrong? Sure, here he is. Keiichi, Mr. Oishi wants to talk to you. I heard some rattling and rustling on the other side of the phone. Hello, this is Maebara. He sounded monotone. Unable to disobey, Keiichi Maebara must have been pretending to follow Rena Ryugyu's orders. Hello, Mr. Maebara. This is Oishi from the Okonomiya police station. Thank you for coming to the phone. Let's do this together. Yes, let's do this together. What is Ryugyu doing right now? She's walking around the classroom. Maebara, please say yes if your answer is yes, and yeah if your answer is no. Do you know what Ms. Ryugyu wants? Yeah. That answer told me for sure. Keiichi Maebara wasn't Rena Ryugyu's accomplice. There's no Rena wouldn't tell her accomplice what she wanted after planning a hostage situation like this. How would he help someone who wouldn't even tell him what she wanted? I'll ask you directly. Are you Rena Ryugyu's ally? No, let me change my question. Are you being threatened by Rena Ryugyu? Yes. There you go. The other guys in the car listening on a conversation raised their fists in victory. Is Rena Ryugyu the only suspect? Yes. If she was the only suspect, then we could respond appropriately. Guess nobody else believed in Takana's scrapbooks. If so, my being fooled was even more embarrassing. As I thought about my next question, I heard the phone being taken away from Keiichi. Rena came back on the line. See? Keiichi is my ally, isn't he? Yes, you were right. That's very promising. Okay, now it's your turn to talk, Mr. Oishi. How are the simultaneous reigns of the Sonozaki family going? Remember, you promised me when we talked on the phone before. Have you found the secret research facility yet? I had to decide on what to say. Should I tell her we conducted raids or not? Maybe she already knew we didn't raid. Maybe she was just testing me. We're trying to come up with a plan for the simultaneous raids as we speak. We're talking to the prefectural police as well as the public safety division. We're talking about the entire city, so we need a little more time to prepare for it. You're taking too long. Mr. Oishi, don't you realize what kind of emergency situation Shishibono City is in right now? What are you doing? Mr. Oishi, you do believe me, don't you? You're my ally, right? Right? Please answer me. Of course I am, but the police department's a little more complicated than you think. I'm doing my best, I really am. The thing is, this is on a really big scale. Mr. Oishi, they poisoned me recently, with the parasites that killed Mr. Tomitake. They poisoned me with them. I've been itching like crazy since yesterday. I'm all bloody from scratching at my throat. I might claw out my throat and die at any moment. You're telling me you're still preparing? I knew it. Oishi didn't realize how dire the situation was. He understood there was some kind of conspiracy in Hinamizawa, but he didn't realize how soon their plan was going to be executed. Besides, I was already feeling itchy all over my body and was bound to die the same way as Mr. Tomitake. I'm sorry, I really am doing my best, but everybody asks me if I have proof. Proof? Do you need proof? Ms. Miyo's scrapbooks. Maybe that was what I'd need to convince the police. I was afraid someone would destroy the evidence if I handed them over to Mr. Oishi, so I kept them with me. But if I didn't have much longer to live, I might not even make it until tomorrow morning. That's right, I might be dead before tomorrow. I would die tonight. Okay, I'll give you Ms. Miyo's scrapbooks. Please use them to convince the other policemen. Ah, that should help. Please do give me the scrapbooks. I looked through my backpack, which was lying by my feet. Ms. Miyo's scrapbooks were in there. This is our last resort. Mr. Oishi, do your best. No, you must take care of it, please. Of course. Trust me, I'll expose their conspiracy. I knew the police would take too long to get things moving. They're an organisation after all. That's why I'm doing this, to make them understand. You have an excuse now. Please use this chance wisely. Thank you. You can count on me. So how should we do this? Do you want me to come get it? I knew she wouldn't let me into the classroom. She was still cautious. I could guess where Rena Ryugyu was going to take this thing, so I tried to stay ahead of her. I handed a memo with my instructions on it to a colleague. I can't really leave the classroom, so I'll have Keiichi deliver them to you. Maybe that's better. If you left the building, something might happen. What do you mean? Well, I'm sure the Sonozaki family already knows what's going on here. I'm sure they didn't expect you to do something like this, so they might come to shut you up. Shut me up? Do you mean by shooting you? A hitman from the Sonozaki family may try to put a stop to this by sniping you. That's why you shouldn't come outside. Don't even go near the windows. I saw you peeking out a window, but you shouldn't do that. They may fire at any time. Wait a minute, aren't there policemen around? Can't you stop that from happening?
We would if we could, but it's so open around here. A well-trained sniper can easily shoot as far as 400 meters. As you know, attack units from the Sonozaki family have gone through military training. They specialize in assassination techniques. Don't underestimate them. I need you to help me expose the conspiracy of the Sonozaki family. I understand. Thank you for your warning. Even if my life is to end tomorrow, I can't die now. That's right. Under no circumstances should you peek out the windows, okay? Be very careful. The phone conversation ended. Rena Ryugu was going to let Keiichi Maebara deliver the scrapbooks. Hang on. My throat is really hoarse all of a sudden. It's almost like when you don't talk except to stream for a week, your throat gets really hoarse afterwards. Crazy. Did you get what I wrote in the memo already? Yes, we've got it. Do you think it'll work? I scared her, so I don't think she'll peek out the windows. I'm sure she'll still have her eyes open, though. I'll work around it. I roughly understood what was going on from the phone conversation. Okay, Keiichi, here are the scrapbooks. The contents are very important. They're proof of the Sonozaki family's conspiracy, and the police can use them as evidence to conduct a raid. Please, take this to Mr. Oishi, okay? And when you give it to him, come right back. I'm watching you. If you do something you aren't supposed to, I'll be angry. Rena took out a couple of old scrapbooks from her backpack and gave them to me. Then she cast a sidelong glance at Mion. I'll tell you about these later, Mion. I'll tell you about what a scary conspiracy your family is planning. Or maybe you already know, huh? Anyway, go on, Keiichi. Just go halfway out into the schoolyard. Don't say anything. You're just delivering the scrapbooks. Don't talk, okay? If you do, if it was Miss Cherry, she'd slap you with a ruler, but what should I use instead? Alright, I won't even say a word. Come on, put that hatchet down. I'm your ally, right? Trust me, okay? Yeah, you're right. I trust you. So please don't betray me, okay? Rena's eyes were telling me clearly. They were telling me she didn't trust me. But even in this state, she also knows she shouldn't just trust her friends. Therefore, although she couldn't trust me, she was pretending to. That was why she didn't tie me up. Okay, I'll be going. I'll be right back. Okay. I walked past my friends who were lying down on the floor and headed to the exit. I saw some of their paces as I passed. Some were fearful, some were sure that I'd use the opportunity to run, and some were scared that they'd die if I did. Don't worry, guys. I won't let her even touch any of you. If Rena tries to do something, I'll stop it even if I have to risk my own life. I'd do whatever it took to ensure that nobody died. I had to make sure Rena didn't get angry. I'd just wait for the right moment. I went down to the school entrance and changed my shoes, then unlocked the door and stepped outside. I felt the fresh air on my skin. I saw the lights from the police cars. I could feel all of the policemen looking at me. As soon as I was in the schoolyard, a little voice tried to tempt me. I was free from Rena now. If I ran off the school grounds, I'd be free. What was I thinking? If I did something like that, Rena would go crazy, and who knows what else she'd do. The important thing here wasn't my safety. It was to make sure that Rena didn't kill anyone. I saw a big man coming towards me from the school gate. That was probably Mr. Oishi. Are you Keiichi Maebara? Hello, I'm Oishi from Okonomiya Station. You can call me Kura. Sorry, Rena told me not to talk and to just give these to you, so please, just take them in silence. I understand. These are the scrapbooks, huh? I'll take them. I tried to hand the scrapbooks to Mr. Oishi, but he stepped aside a little. Eh? Confused as to what he was doing, I had changed my position and handed them to him again. He took them that time, and at that point, Oishi put something that was under his jacket into my pocket. Don't worry. Even if Miss Ryu was watching, the building is behind you. She couldn't have seen that. Eh, what is this? Couldn't look into my pocket because I didn't want Rena to suspect anything, but whatever it was pretty heavy for its size. I have a memo for you two. On your way back to the classroom, please read it without Miss Ryu noticing. Go on now. She'll get suspicious. I just followed his directions. I was worried Rena had begun to suspect something. When I looked at the classroom, the curtains were closed, but that didn't mean she wasn't peeking out through a crack. I went back to the entrance and locked the door. If Rena checked and found the door unlocked, it could cause more trouble. Rena was in the classroom. There was no way she'd come down this way. She was alone. If she left the classroom, everyone would get up and run. They couldn't run because Rena was there, but they were all waiting for their chance. The entrance, then, was Rena's blind spot. As I changed my clothes, I quickly removed what Mr. Oishi had put in my pocket. There was a radio with an earpiece, and something else that looked like a short police baton. There was also a folded piece of paper. I opened the piece of paper and saw a note written in small print. Dear Maebara, please hide the bug in your pocket. Picks up even a low voice, so you can use it to get in touch with me. By using the earphone, you can hear me in return. There is also a spray for self-protection. Sprays as far as 1 meter. Make sure you aim for the face. This must be the spray. I guess it's safe to try it here. I held down the button and gas sprayed out from the nozzle. Compared to Rena's hatchet, this required some caution, but it was small enough to fit inside of my hand. It was reassuring that I could hide it so easily. In other words, it was now possible for me to stop Rena. As I realised all my classmates' face rested on my shoulders, I felt sweat form on my face. The murmur continued. The spray is just for self-defensive purposes. Pepper spray only impairs eyesight, and when it makes your enemy powerless due to extreme pain and coughing for at least 30 minutes, it's not powerful enough to render them unconscious. Therefore, please don't forget there is a possibility your enemy may fight back desperately in a panic. This spray is your last resort. Please don't depend on it, but if you need to, make sure to use it. Oishi. Was he telling me to use it or not? It was probably one of those grown-up issues. If cops entrusted me solely with the fate of the hostages and I failed, they'd be held liable. So when he gave me a weapon, he made me consider its use. I hid the bug and spray in my pockets and went back to the classroom. I felt a little dizzy, maybe because I was nervous. I was simply following Rena's orders because I had no other choice. That was why I wasn't scared. But the things were different than before. I had a weapon. I was in a far better position, but my heart was pounding. Humans are so strange. Shit, what am I gonna do? What should I do, Keiichi Maebara? Did I want to fight with Rena? The memo said the spray only reaches as far as 1 meter. 1 meter? That was basically a hand-to-hand battle. That meant I only had one opportunity. Didn't have a second chance. The memo also said I'd need to aim for her face. That wasn't going to be easy. Shit. Besides, Rena was cautious. How could I stand directly in front of her within 1 meter? That's what I'd have to do if I was to have any chance of winning. Rena would do anything to reach her goal. She wouldn't even hesitate to kill. Just like how I didn't. Of course, things were already extremely serious. An apology definitely wouldn't be enough, but at least there hadn't been any casualties. Went a bit weird. It's my own fault for sitting weirdly, but I'm trying to deal with leg cramps, and all I'm doing is hurting myself. Bodies. Why do we have them? The more time passed, the more irritated Rena would get. She might demand something again, and she might kill someone that time to show how serious she was. Bad things had already taken place, but a tragedy hadn't occurred yet. But it was almost here. It wasn't very far at all. When I closed my eyes, I could easily picture Rena killing one classmate after another. After I killed Rena and Mion, my room was covered in blood. If she killed 20 people, the classroom would be a pool of it. If that happened, Rena would. She still wouldn't realise she was being delusional. She would rip out her own throat and die. That would be too big a crossfire to carry, and one day she would remember and be saddened. She didn't need to go through that. I didn't want Rena to go through what I had to go through. Shit, I felt dizzy. This was a very long hallway. I didn't know the classroom was so far. With each step I took, my determination, words are difficult. The fight Rena became stronger. Rena would be shocked to realise I betray her. Shocked to realise I betrayed her. But if she couldn't wake up from the nightmare on her own, someone else would have to wake her up. And her friends needed to be the ones to do that. Welcome back, Keiichi. Did Oishi say anything? What is the smell? As soon as I stepped into the classroom, I smelled something. Everyone had moved to one corner of the classroom. The smell reminded me of a gas station. Was it gasoline? I saw a red gasoline container by Rena's feet. The cap was open. It was seemingly sturdy and made of metal. I knew it was her. I knew it was her. Absolutely. It said gasoline on the side, written in felt marker. She must have spread it across the entire classroom. The smell was almost giving me a headache. No, it wasn't just in the classroom. The classmates were soaked in gasoline too. How could she? I see. This is just like a hijacker holding a bomb. If the police were to rush in, she would burn the hostages. I didn't know where she got it, but she had a lighter in her left hand. Rena, what do you think you're doing? Of course I won't actually do it. This is just insurance. I don't want to barbecue anyone either, so I hope this will all just end as a joke. Rena shut off the lighter. Obviously she was trying to threaten me. I've heard about people committing suicide by setting themselves on fire. They pour gasoline on themselves and light it ablaze. You might think that if it was extinguished right away it wouldn't be that bad, but human skin is supposedly very delicate, and they say that even if 30% of a person's skin gets burned, it's enough to be fatal. If it was your entire body, it would result in death for sure. I've been put in a disadvantageous position. My weapon might take Rena's sight, but I couldn't stop her from using the lighter. She'd probably use it the moment she's attacked. I didn't know if she realised it, but the kind of lighter she had would keep burning until the lid was closed. Therefore, all she'd have to do was to light it and drop it on the floor. Speaking of lighters, in other words, my spray can wouldn't make Rena powerless at all. The last resort Oishi had given me had already lost its power. What do you mean, insurance? With those scrapbooks, Oishi will convince the rest of the police. After that, their investigations will expose the conspiracy. Whoops, I skipped a bit of dialogue there. Right? Do you really think those scrapbooks are enough? I know government people don't move nearly quick enough. Rena was thinking that if she didn't see any progress with the scrapbooks, she'd pressure the police by letting them know about the gasoline. Let's just trust Oishi for now. We should just wait to hear from him, okay? Yeah, that's right. Okay then, let me pick up where I left off. Anyway, those parasites became harmless with the passage of time. But some people didn't like that. Those people are the 3 families of Hinamizawa. Therefore, they are... Rena was simply telling everyone what she heard from Mr. Kano. I started mumbling so I could let Oishi know what was going on. What a smell. Scattering a whole portable tank of gasoline. I was pretending to mumble to myself, so I could only say it very quietly. I wish I could say it louder, but that was probably impossible. I wasn't sure if Mr. Oishi could hear me. I thought of an idea to find out whether or not they could hear me. It'd be nice if I heard a car honk. Kuma, honk the horn. Kuma honked once, quickly. Gasoline, huh? Shit. That explains the smell. I'm sure she's intending to use it to get what she wants. Kuma, people usually mean an 18-litre tank when they say portable tank of gasoline, right? Well, probably, but I'm not sure. Kamiyama, is there still someone from the forestry service here? Could you get him? I see, there's cans of gasoline written on them. Do plastic kerosene tanks have kerosene written on them? Yes, we don't want to mix them up. All the fuel containers have labels. Not too many people know this, but regular portable tanks can't hold gasoline. Gasoline, while common, is extremely flammable, and it can be lit even with static electricity. Therefore, gasoline must be kept in special metal containers. Those are called carrying cans. So what Maebara called gasoline really is gasoline. Different size carrying cans? 18-litre and 5-litre, I think. 5-litre ones are rather flat in shape, aren't they? Yes, it's red and flat with a handle. Keiichi Maebara called it a portable tank. Do you think it's the 18-litre type? Maybe he called it a portable tank because he wasn't familiar with the shape. Either way, if it's really gasoline, it's really dangerous. Gasoline burns when lit, but what's an even bigger threat than what is an even bigger threat than liquid gasoline are the fumes? When gasoline fumes lit on fire, they explode. Also, gasoline evaporates easily. Even at freezing temperatures, it evaporates. And so, in other words, inside the closed classroom, the fumes would fill the entire space, but the classroom would then become a bomb itself. Kuma, do you know anything about Class 4 hazardous materials? No, I know gasoline fumes are dangerous, but I don't know any more than that. To prepare for the worst case scenario, I want to find out the difference in scale between the 18-litre and the 5-litre. I know, I'll ask the old guy. Excuse me, could you call the station and see if the old guy from the forensics department is still there? Oh, I've heard what's going on. Criminal requested you, huh? Kaboom. Richie Patsuron. Haha. Uradura on top of that too. This isn't a laughing matter anymore. Anyway, do you know about 4th class hazardous materials? 4th class, huh? If we had everyone here, we'd know everything about hazardous materials. Did the suspect spread gasoline or something? That's exactly what's happening here. We bugged one of the hostages. Supposedly the suspect spread gasoline throughout the classroom, but we don't know if it's from an 18-litre can or a 5-litre can. Can you tell me the worst case scenarios for both of them? How big is the classroom? See, approximately 50 metres squared. The room is closed, huh? More than likely. I'm sure the smell must be horrible. That's not good, Oishi. I had a feeling. Classroom will blow up. Everyone in the classroom will be dead for sure. You mean in the case of the 18-litre? Fool, I'm talking about the 5-litre one. If I remember correctly, 4 litres is plenty enough to blow up an 8x8 metre room. 8x8 is 64. I remember... Looks around shiftily. The policeman listening to the conversation on the side went pale. 8x8 metres meant a room that was 64 square metres. Only 4 litres needed to blow that up, and at least 5 litres were scattered in a 50 square metre room. In other words, the room is more than enough gasoline, huh? That's not good. I'd rather not hear this, but what would happen if it was an 18-litre can? Let's see, to put it in your words, Oishi, the dealer's hands is Ruchi, Ipatsu, Pinfu, Tanyao, Aka Aka, and Dora Dora. What do you mean? Buy man from the dealer, 24,000 points. Base distribution is 25,000 points, so there'll be 1,000 points stick left. Something like that. There may be one pillar left if you're lucky. Gosh, I don't want that kind of Ruchi. I don't understand this. You should call the fire department and get a chemical unit ready. You'll need to have them deal with it after the incident's taken care of. Shit, I heard this through the bug, so if a fire engine shows up, the suspect will find out. Guess they'll have them get ready where she can't see him. Yeah, that's a good idea. Mentioned a bug, didn't you? Yes. I had a chance to come into contact with one of the hostages. I gave him a bug. That's how I found out about the gasoline. It's not good. There have been incidents where the sparks from electronic devices set gasoline on fire. You know, gasoline's flashpoint is about 300 degrees. Even static electricity can easily cause an explosion. Gotta be kidding me. Why is such a dangerous liquid available to just about anyone? How the heck should I know? Tell that to the fire laws and automobile companies. Since it's June, the air isn't that dry, but just to be on the safe side, tell him to turn the listening device off. Mr. Oishi, according to what I can hear through the bug, the suspect has a lighter. That means that even if Mr. Maibara used the pepper spray to stop her, he won't be able to prevent her from igniting the gasoline. We can't even use the bug anymore? Damn it! Oishi, a lighter is really, really bad. Don't even let her play with it. Suspect may not know how dangerous gasoline is. From hearing how much she spread, I don't think she knows anything about it. Oishi's back was covered with a cold sweat. He never even thought this would turn into such a serious matter. He didn't know how dangerous gasoline was. He didn't know because he never heard of cars exploding in car accidents. He knew it was dangerous, but he didn't know what it was capable of. Gasoline is more dangerous once it evaporates. Therefore, a burning car in an accident and gasoline fumes being ignited are at completely different levels. It's quite simple to understand if you think about how car engines work. Cars vaporize gasoline in the carburetor and let it explode in the engine cylinders. In other words, that little explosion in the engine is what gives cars the power to move. Therefore, if you want more power, an engine needs to be bigger to create a bigger explosion. So if an engine cylinder was the size of a classroom, how much power would it create? Anyone with knowledge of engines would know, but a lot of people don't consider how dangerous evaporated gasoline is, because it's too familiar. Used to work in a, automotive repair college, so... Do you know that one? 25 hostages and one hostage taker. All 26 people were basically stuck in a huge bomb. Furthermore, the suspect might accidentally set it off. If she would pretend to light the lighter as a threat, that would be the end. All of the people around Oishi had gone pale. The classroom might explode at any moment. How could they save all the hostages? Especially when the criminal was living in her own delusion and her request was something so unreal. Excuse me, I found a letter in the scrapbook. One of the policemen brought over a folded piece of paper. Oishi opened it while the others watched. He saw a girlish handwriting on the paper. You could tell this was written before she invaded the school. Dear Mr. Oishi, if you're reading this letter, that means I'm at the final stage. I must have seized the school and held the students as hostages. I'm planning to appoint you as a negotiator, so please pretend to be threatened by me and become my contact with the outside. The first thing I want to tell you is that my enemy is the Sonozaki family, and also the aliens, who are pretending to be parasites that control the Sonozaki family. Aliens? Didn't think you'd believe me if I brought up the aliens, so I didn't tell you about them until now. But when you read the scrapbooks, you will understand. The aliens came to Earth in UFOs in ancient times. They landed in Onagafuchi Swamp. They used this village as their breeding grounds, and through that selective breeding, they widened their domain. They were successful, and now they're trying to invade the Earth. The heck is this? Well, the other policeman frowned at the letter. No, it's not surprising. I read Takanda's other scrapbooks, and they were full of even stranger stories. Personally, I like the one about Ossie the best. The Sonozaki family, as well as the village authorities, have been brainwashed by the aliens. The villagers' attempts to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama were actually part of the alien strategy to invade the Earth. The aliens are very clever. They don't let people realise they're being controlled. The Iria Clinic must be their secret research centre. Please conduct an investigation and expose their secrets. Also, please check out the bottom of the swamp. The UFO must still be there. Also, capture all of the relatives of the three families and take X-rays of their brains. You'll find hideous parasites inside of them. But please be careful. The aliens eliminate whoever finds out about them by replacing their host with a lookalike. That's how they've been controlling the village. Therefore, there may already be some aliens amongst the villagers. It is possible they will try to interfere with your investigation. As a matter of fact, there have been lookalikes of Miya Takano, Rika Furude, and me, Rena Ryugu. If you see any of those three, capture them immediately. That will be the proof of aliens existing amongst us. Miya Takano? Why did she think that? I know. I told her over the phone that according to the result the autopsy conducted by the lab over in Gifu, the day of her death doesn't match up. You talking about the mistaken autopsy results? I told her I didn't know why Miya Takano was witnessed on the day of the festival when she died the night before. I never thought she'd take it like this. Maybe I joked around a little too much. It's interesting that she included herself. Did she look in a mirror or something? One of the policemen spoke up. He was one of the pair who searched the garbage dump that night. I can understand that. Remember, the night we looked for Rena Ryugu, somebody said she was seen in Gogura. That must be it. It was probably a bluff from the villagers, and she must have heard it somewhere and assumed there was another version of her walking around. Damn, Nostradamus, was it? This is just like that. No matter what happens to her, everything sounds like it was predetermined. Rena Ryugu would blame aliens if she was to trip and fall down now. Maybe she's coming up with all this crazy stuff so that when she's caught, she can use the insanity defense in court. No, this isn't about that. She really does believe in this crazy stuff. She does from the bottom of her heart. I heard that for sure. She truly believes in these stupid scrapbooks. There's another letter. Let's see. P.S. I was poisoned yesterday with the same stuff that killed Mr. Tomitake. Been scratching my throat since then. I'll probably have called my throat open by tomorrow. If you can find the antidote when you investigate the area clinic, please bring it to me. There sure is something. Yeah, if she believes in alien stories, maybe we can trick her with an antidote. But you may not find the antidote, or maybe it will be too late by the time you do. Therefore, considering the time I have left, I will set 7 p.m. tonight as the deadline. If an investigation doesn't take place and the antidote doesn't arrive by 7 p.m, I will choose to die with all the hostages by lighting the gasoline instead. 7 p.m? Time is it now? It's a little before 6. Days are long nowadays. It doesn't get dark even in the evenings. It'll probably start to get dark around 7. We only have an hour. No, it might explode even before that. Shit! What can we do? The heck is she talking about? Alien invasion? Just trying to take the hostages with her? That's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Can't negotiate with her normally now, especially when she thinks she's absolutely sane. Mr. Oichi, look what comes next. What? I'm planning to spray gasoline throughout the classroom. I'm sure you realise how dangerous that is. If anyone suggests storming into the room, please tell them exactly how bad an idea that would be. Also, the hostages are anchored down with U-shaped bank locks. Even if those alien policemen rushed in and killed me, they'd have to cut each lock. But if you try cutting them, you might create sparks. Therefore, you need to completely ventilate the room first. In other words, it will take an extremely long time to rescue all the hostages from the classroom. Actually, I have a different explosive system set up, other than the gasoline I spread. It's a very simple time bomb using gasoline and a kitchen timer. A kitchen timer provides electricity at a set time. I've ripped the tip off its plug so it will create enough sparks to ignite the gasoline. I've already set the timer to 7 p.m. Even if I'm not around, there will be an explosion at that time. If the classroom isn't ventilated by that time, it'll explode too. I'm sorry to ask you like this, Mr. Oishi, but please help me so we can avoid a tragedy. Please let the 3 families know that Mion Sonozaki, the successor to the head of the Sonozaki family, and Rika Furude, the mascot for the cult for Yashiro-sama, are in this classroom. If anyone from the 3 families helps you, I'm sure the conspiracy will be exposed by tonight. The alien invasion is going to happen very soon. Please get going quickly. To my ally, Oishi, Rena Ryugu. Smash. Oishi threw the scrapbooks to the ground. Damn it! How can she call me her ally? Is a kitchen timer like an alarm clock? An old appliances didn't have timers. Kitchen timer is a device that turns on appliances at a given time. When you plug it in, it provides electricity at a set time so the appliance will come on when you want it to. Wow, that's convenient. It's possible to use that to make a time bomb. Using a kitchen timer sure is something the girl would come up with. Why don't we call the electric company and turn the electricity off? There's no power, the timer can't go off. But that won't work. If the classroom became dark, she'd probably light her lighter. Maybe we can give her a sleeping pill as an antidote, but it'll have to take effect slowly. I'm sure she'll have a hostage try it first. Be very careful. Understood. I'll get one ready. I need to talk to Maebara one more time. I have to tell him not to let Rena Ryugu play with a lighter. I also have to tell him to turn the bug off. How about that, by the way? Have you heard anything interesting? Suspect seems to be abusing a hostage. Shit. I think it's Mion Sonozaki. Stop it, Rena! Rena kept hitting Mion and had her hands tied behind her back. Rena wasn't using her fist, but instead the handle of a hatchet. Keiichi, you promised me you wouldn't move. If you do, I'll be angry. Rena's gaze intimidated me. Her eyes were full of madness. I could feel Rena's emotions boiling over on the inside. If I opposed her, she would easily cut Mion's arm off. But I can't forgive us that you dug up the corpses and turned them into the police. I trusted you. I trusted you. Rena hit Mion's face over and over. It wasn't just Mion's hands that were tied behind her. Her neck was also tied to a window frame with a bike lock, so there was no way that Mion could protect her face. I didn't know if her forehead was cut or if her nose was bleeding, but her face was covered in blood. Her blood got on the handle of the hatchet, and every time she got hit with it, more blood was smeared on her face. The handle of the hatchet could easily smash her forehead. Because of her position in the Sonozaki family, Mion couldn't say that she hid the body, so all she did was endure. However, Rena continued to attack her. Rena no longer had any restraint. She might even continue until Mion's front teeth were broken. Stop it, Rena! Haven't you done enough? I'll tell you the truth, so Rena, please stop hitting her. The truth? What is it, Keiichi? No, you can't. Keiichi. Everyone, please don't listen to what I'm about to say. I may say some disturbing stuff, but it isn't anything wrong, so please don't listen. Even if you hear it, forget that you did. Please. What are you going to tell me? Go on, Keiichi. It's not a complicated story. That was for your sake. We found out afterwards that the place you buried the bodies was going to be clean cut this summer, so we thought we had to do something about it, and Mion hid them in a safer place. You told me the same story the other night. Didn't I tell you that was something me made up? Why would she lie? She wanted to help her friend. Mion did it to help you. That's a lie. I won't believe it. Why did you do that without talking to me then? Why did Mion even have to tell her? Mion was trying to be delicate. Mion did her best trying to hide what Rena did. Mion knew Rena was at her wit's end, and that was why she did it in secret. But Rena didn't want to believe her. That's not so, Keiichi. How contemptible of you, Mion, to even deceive him. I won't say anything about your tricks during the club activities, but this, can't forgive you. Can't forgive you. Can't forgive you. Can't forgive you. Stop it. Don't hit Mion. Mion didn't do anything. I never knew having your hands tied behind your back was that scary. Mion got hit repeatedly with the handle of the hatchet. She could only endure. She couldn't even protect herself with her hands. Hey, is it true, Mion? If so, why didn't you tell me? Can't you understand Mion's position? She has to follow certain rules as a member of the Samazaki family. Shouldn't you be grateful for what she's done for you? I may have said it too aggressively. Rena turned around and glared at me. That's right, Keiichi. Mion sold me out to the police because of the circumstances surrounding the Samazaki family. She sold out her friend. I was her friend. I really liked her. That was mean, Mion. I really did like you so much. Why? How could you? This was senseless. Rena cried as if being bullied, but she was the one doing the bullying. Normally that would be so honest to be impossible, but I'd seen the scene before. I liked you. I trusted you. As I cried, I beat her to death. Rena repeatedly begged me to trust her, yet I beat her. I know what it's like to be the one doing the beating. Stop, 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 Rena. Don't you realise what you're doing? You're hurting your friend with your own hands. I understand what you're feeling. I know you're sad because your friend betrayed you, right? But that's a misunderstanding. We didn't betray you. We've been thinking about you all this time. But she just couldn't see that. Even if she died, Rena probably wouldn't realise she'd made a terrible mistake. But someday, you'll realise. Even an insensitive guy like me realise, so Rena would realise it for sure. And that's when you'll feel even sadder, Rena. You will remember this bloody Mion one day. Then you realise that you were the one who made her bloody, and you will regret that you did. But I was the only one who could understand that, because I remembered. There was no way for Rena to understand or realise that. I wondered if I was suffering most of all. There was no way to avoid a tragedy. This was exactly the same tragedy with different actors. The main character was Rena said of me, but it was the same thing. Where was I? I was in the audience now. I knew how the story ended, but I couldn't come onto the stage. Stop, Rena. Sorry, I'm like desperately trying to burn the remains of this candle, so I keep getting distracted by it. Stop, stop. Are you crying? What's wrong, Keiichi? I stood up slowly and walked towards Rena, just like what Rena did for me before, with my arms open. Please stop. Stop this, Rena. Burn the rest of this tomorrow, it'll be fine. You may not know why now. You may not know why you have to stop now, but if you don't, you'll regret it someday. So please, stop. Keiichi, I'll be mad if you don't move back to the wall. Rena's eyes went cold and she lifted the hatchet in her right hand. Don't, Keiichi, I'm okay. Mion told me, but with such a bloody face, how could she be? Are you going to hit me with that hatchet? If you come any closer, I will. Without hesitation. I don't need you anymore, Keiichi, but I want to be with you until the end. So please, don't make me mad, okay? Okay? She sounded gentle, but her expression was telling me there really would be no hesitation. Rena would crack my head open with the hatchet immediately. But who cares? If you were in my shoes, what do you think you would do? Of course I don't want to die, so I wouldn't oppose my opponent. If they had a weapon, I'd be scared. That's a lie. I know you're strong enough to give up your own life for the sake of your friend. It's my turn now. My turn to be strong. I'm just like you. I won't hesitate to give up my own life for my friends. If you want, I'll give that life to you. So stop this. If you trust your friends, stop hurting her. The same pain will attack you later, so stop. Nobody is trying to scare you. We're all thinking about you. Don't doubt that. Please, believe it. Trust me. If you can come to trust me by smashing my head in, go in and crush my head with that hatchet. I won't try to protect myself. Don't come any closer. If you do, I'll light this place up. Rena lifted the lighter overhead. You fool! How long are you going to dream about such crazy things? You already know that yourself, don't you? That it's all just a bad dream. You want somebody to wake you up. I'm here. I'm here to wake you up from your nightmares. You're the one who has to wake up, Keiichi. Can't you believe that those aliens are trying to invade the village? You believed me back then. Are you doubting me again? Can you trust me? Rena opened the lid of the lighter. I could tell her thumb was about to light it. Rena was prepared to die along with everyone else. Rena would die without knowing the truth. She would die believing it was the world that was crazy. She would die cursing everything in this world. That was the storyline of the tragedy, wasn't it? This is a theatre from hell. What an interesting script. You wrote it. A devil? Shit. Shit, I won't let this happen. Don't underestimate Keiichi Maebara, the original main character. Don't think the same storyline will work again. I'll be taking over the script this time and I'm going to destroy it. I won't let this bad ending take place. I'm going to destroy their expectations. You're the one who doesn't trust me, Rena. Just trust me. Shut up and trust me. This is all for your own sake. As the main character of the previous tragedy, I'm telling you this. You just shut up and listen to me. What are you talking about, Keiichi? Shut up and trust you? You're the one who doesn't trust me, Keiichi. Why don't you believe me? Shut up! I know you're wrong. I know how you'll end up, so I know you're going to regret it in the future. I don't want you to finish your life without realising what you've done. You just don't know how sad that is yet. I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you okay, Keiichi? Yeah, I bet. I bet you have no idea what I'm talking about. I'll tell you. I'll tell you the story of a pathetic guy. Once upon a time there was a pathetic guy named Keiichi Maebara. He had no complaints about his life and he spent every day having fun with his friends. But one day he started to doubt them. After a while he started to doubt everything. He didn't notice how worried his friends were and he hurt them repeatedly. How sorrowful. They trusted each other but they couldn't let each other know. Can you believe something stupid as that actually happened? Then I beat you and me on with the metal back to the point of death. But you begged me to trust me until your final moments. You didn't even try to protect your head. You trusted me until your final moments, reaching your hands out to me. I didn't realise what you were doing and beat you to death anyway. Do you know how sinful that was? Bet you have no idea. That's why I have to make up for what I've done. I'm going to stop you, Rena. If you come any closer, I'll light the lighter. Just as you tried to save me with your life, I'm going to save you, Rena. I still remember how magnificent you were when you died. You weren't even afraid of it. These words will reach him, she thought. These next words will make Keiichi realise. Trust me, Rena. That was when Rena hit my head with a hatchet. I crumbled down to the floor. She hit me with a handle, but my head was probably cut open. I felt the blood on my face. Poor Keiichi, that's not of your own will. The parasites that are living in your brain are controlling you. Mr. Oichi will find the medicine for it. When he comes, I'll let you take the medicine first. Then you'll be free. You'll return to the Keiichi that I loved. Just hang in there for a little while longer, okay? Damn you. I heard a phone ringing in the teacher's office. Rena listened to the phone ring for a while, then realised it was for her. Rena tried to answer the phone in the classroom, but she couldn't figure out how to transfer the call, so she decided to answer it in the teacher's office instead. I'm going to the office for a bit. Don't run away, okay? If any of you are missing, something terrible will happen to me okay? Rena glared at everyone in the classroom, intimidating them, and then left. That was when I heard a honk from the outside. I remembered the signal from earlier. Did Oishi want to get in touch with me? I bent down and put the receiver earphone in my ear. Can you hear me? This is Kumagai from Okonomiya Station. Please cough if you can hear me. Very good. Please listen carefully. The gasoline the suspect spread everywhere is very dangerous. The classroom is filled with vaporized gasoline right now. It's like a bomb. Please don't aggravate Ms. Rugo and don't ever let her play with a lighter. Please don't provoke her anymore like you just did, okay? This bug is awful. It's possible for gasoline fumes to ignite at the slightest spark. Therefore, please turn the bug off after this communication. That's just to be on the safe side. Also, one last thing. According to the suspect's note, she set a time bomb. Time bomb? She used a kitchen time to make a simple time bomb, and the classroom will explode if it goes off. We're trying to get some sleeping pills ready to give to her as an antidote, but we don't have much time left. According to her note, the timer is set for 7 p.m. I looked at the wall clock. It was 6:45. There were only 15 minutes left. I could hear Rena screaming into the phone. No, the time has already been set. Hurry up, Mr. Oishi. I won't wait for even a second longer. As you can hear, Rena Ryugu is refusing to reset the timer. She's going to kill herself in 15 minutes. I remember thinking the same way as Rena. After I killed Rena and Mion, I knew the police would come. I thought someone would solve the mystery after I was dead. If that's what Rena was thinking, she'd been planning to kill herself from the beginning. What do you want me to do? The sleeping pill should arrive soon, but if an explosion took place before we could negotiate, there would be no point. We want you to find the time bomb and disassemble it. You mean cutting red and blue cords like in the movies? Probably simpler than that. According to the suspect, she used the kitchen timer. It's not a battery-operated one, it's one of those ones you plug in. It looks like an alarm clock. Do you see anything in an outlet in the classroom? There was one outlet in the back and another at the front of the classroom. I checked, but I didn't see anything that's plugged in. No, I don't see anything. If an ignition was taking place somewhere else, it wouldn't work. It must be somewhere in the classroom. I don't think so. The only cord coming from the hallway is the one to Rena's phone. Is it possible for the kitchen timer to be battery-operated? It's a type that's powered by electricity. Could it possibly be in another room? If there was a different room where she spread gasoline, then the timer could be in there. Telling me to check the whole school? 15 minutes? Tam, I'm injured here, you know. But if I stayed here, I'd die in 15 minutes. There wasn't a time to be pessimistic. This is probably my last chance to stop this tragedy from taking place. She spread the gasoline while I went out to deliver the scrapbooks, so she must have done it in a fairly short time. I really didn't think she had enough time to spread it anywhere other than the classroom. Then where was the time bomb? We're doing everything we can here, so please, help us. That's all. If you don't have any questions, I'll end this communication. Is there anything else? Not really. Wait, yes, I do have one thing to say. What is it? Please tell Oishi that he should never have told Rena about my past. If I come out of this alive, I'll punch him, so he better be prepared. Wait, 2 punches. One for telling Rena about me, and another for telling me about Rena. I understand. Mr. Oishi's disappointed in himself for letting Rena Ryugu fool him. I'm sure he'll be happy to let you throw a punch or 2. Is that it now? Yeah. I've already wasted a few minutes here. See ya. Be safe. Click. Rena was still on the phone. Mr. Oishi was definitely trying to stall her. From what I could hear, it sounded like he was telling they investigated the main Sonosaki residence and found something awful in their secret basement or something like that. Hey, if you went too far, Rena would believe everything again. Leon was going to get hit again for lying. Keiichi. Rika and Satoko crawled up to me. Did you hear? Perhaps my specialty. Can't let Rena do this to me. Satoko realised how serious the situation was as well. The lives of the hostages, including her own, were about to be taken. Yet she tried to remain strong. Satoko, even if you die, please don't hate Rena. Rena is sick. She was just unfortunate enough to get this tragic disease. Remember? We had so much fun together. Satoko, I still believe both you and Rena are my wonderful friends. How can you still say that she's your friend after what she's done to Mion? But can't you understand, Satoko? Once a demon starts to act up inside, no matter how tragic the outcome, you just can't stop it. Satoko quietly hung her head. I didn't understand what Rika was trying to say to Satoko, but maybe... I believe in Rena. There you go, Satoko. I hugged Stoko's head. Rika's arms were tied, so she couldn't embrace Satoko, but she put her forward close to her embrace. Okay then, I'm asking the world's best trap expert. If you were to blow up this room, where would you set a time bomb? Count on me. The device has to be connected to an outlet, huh? Yeah, that's right, but it could be somewhere else up in this room. It's possible she spread gasoline all over a different room and set the device there. No, I don't think she had enough time to do that. She had gasoline hidden close by and only spread it here. That was about all the time she had. Remember now, Rena told me last night she had to prepare something for today. That means she had things ready since then at least. Those are all the hints I get, eh? What a cruel minesweeping game. You can find it, Satoko. If you can't, there's no way I can. I'm wagering all my trust in you. You can do it, Satoko. In order to save Rena, please find it. In that case, very well. I shall prove that Rena's trap is child's play compared to one of my own. I'm going to ask you one more time. If you were to blow up this room, where would you set a time bomb? Satoko grinned and then closed her eyes to concentrate. Who are you people? Move over. Who's in charge here? Several cars arrived, producing several men. They weren't from the Okonomiya station. One of the men was wearing a suit, despite the hot weather. He approached me, then pushing Kumagai aside. Hey, look who's here. Good to see you again, Utaga from Prefectural Headquarters. Watch your mouth. I'm ranked much higher than you now, so don't address me so casually. Can I help you with something, Utica? I'm rather busy at the moment. You can't possibly be thinking about taking over in this case. Who proved that exactly? I did, Oishi. Chief? Takasugi has informed me of the situation. You also told me you started all this. You can go now. The troops will take over. Troops? Utica, you aren't going to storm the building, are you? I understand the risk, but we don't have any time left before the bomb goes off. You've taken too long. We're here to take care of the mess you left behind. Just step back for a minute. I couldn't look back at both the chief and a guy from the prefectural headquarters gave me an order. Oishi, who the heck is he? That's Utica. A long time ago he was showing off even though he was bad at mahjong, so I taught him a lesson. Maybe he's still holding a grudge from when I knocked him unconscious in that kendo tournament. Obviously, we didn't get along. Give me the latest update, Oishi. You serious about storming the school? We're about to settle this thing peacefully with some sleeping pills. What are you trying to accomplish here? It's too late for that. If we had another hour, that would be possible. Instead, a special unit from Prefectural Police Department will move in. Your unit will be their backup. Chief, you know what's going on, don't you? That classroom itself has turned into a huge bomb, but even the classrooms that the bomb was scared of. It's the suspect, Rena Ryugu. We finally calmed down and found a way to settle this peacefully, and we're about to start that operation. I know we only have about 10 minutes, but I'll make sure that this works. I'll continue negotiating. If it doesn't work, I'll be blown up. Then you can sit back and say I told you so, okay? Oishi, the special unit from the Prefectural Police isn't just any old unit. You've heard about the second company, haven't you? What's that, Oishi? Is the second company that well known? Do you remember about 5 years ago when the JRA hijacked that airplane? Flight 472? I've heard that special counter-terrorist units were put together in Tokyo and Osaka after that incident. So they really do exist. But why would a special unit from Osaka be here? Utica smiled proudly. Just happened to be holding a training session with your prefectural police unit. We requested their help. Haha, you haven't changed, have you? You have a bad tendency to escalate matters quickly. The company members exited the vehicles one after another and took position. They didn't move like policemen. Utica, are you really going to have a gunfight here? One shot is all it takes to trigger an explosion. Don't worry, they won't use firearms. They're using riot shields and riot guns. These guns send out tear gas at high pressures. There'll be no issue with explosions. Wow, I've never heard of such convenient water guns. By the way, can that twain reach the classroom from across the courtyard? You don't need to worry about that. You just move over and let us do our job. As I lifted my arms exaggeratedly, when Alba accidentally touched the car horn, which honked. Of course I did it on purpose. You tried to get Keiichi Maebara's attention? Of course, just hope he heard it. What are you going to tell him now? Probably thinking about breaking one of the windows with a grenade, then shooting tear gas into the room. They have no idea how serious Rena Ryugu is. Deadly serious. Even the noise of a window breaking can drive her over the edge. Saying the special unit can't suppress her? Of course not. That's why I've been so careful. Rena Ryugu has been intending to kill herself this whole time. A raid doesn't work on people who don't care about dying. We only have Maebara now. Oishi, here he is. Hello, this is Oishi. If you can hear me, please cough. This is an emergency. Please listen. I have a feeling that's not good news. Fortunately, you're right. Prefectural police are getting involved. They're going to ruin everything we've worked for so far. There's a special unit about to break in. Hey, the only reason I haven't used my pepper spray is because that won't stop her from igniting the gas. A raid won't work. Prefectural police don't understand that Ryugu is prepared to die. They're assuming the lighter is just a threat and she isn't really going to ignite the gas. They'll break in within 5 minutes or so. Please, take the lighter from Rena Ryugu before they move in. Is that in addition to your order to do something about the time bomb? Yes, that's right. Gotta be kidding me. Want me to take the lighter from Rena and do something about the time bomb too, all within 5 minutes? Come on. You're the only one we can count on. I'm begging you. How is it, Toko? Can you think of something? I just have to check the hallway on the first floor, to check whether it's there or not. Knowing Rena's patterns, if it was on the first floor, it would be there, and if it was on the second floor, it'd be there. I just have to check if there's a cord in the hallway on the first floor, right? Should be there. If Rena was in a normal state of mind, I would know for certain, but with her being like this, I really can't figure out a thought pattern right now. Okay, I'll do something. We don't even have time to think about it. I'll look into those two options myself. I don't want another tragedy. You demons down in hell, I bet you're just waiting for an amusing ending to unfold while eating some popcorn. I won't let that happen. I'm going to change everything. And then I'm going to make you pick up your popcorn off the floor. I spoke to Rena as she continued on with her story about the aliens. What is it? What's the matter, Keiichi? Didn't you hear something just now? Rena went quiet and looked around. Rena had become totally paranoid about everything. Once she became worried, she couldn't ignore it. Really? Are you sure, Keiichi? Yeah, I'm sure I heard something. I knew she'd want to check it herself, but she really couldn't leave the room for something like that. So in that case, she'd have to ask me to check for her. Rena must have been thinking the same thing. Keiichi, can you go check? Rena gave me an order with a fake smile on her lips. Yeah, okay. Rena watched me go out into the hallway. As I did, she spoke to me. Don't make me angry, okay? Trust me, I'm your friend. Yeah, I trust you. I trust you, so don't betray me, okay? After being freed from Rena, I looked to record in a hurry. Didn't even have 5 minutes. Office probably had more outlets than anywhere else. I headed for the teacher's office. Shit, where were the outlets? Unlike light switches, outlets couldn't always be found near entrances. Damn it, why did the clock in the teacher's office have to make such a loud ticking noise? Don't worry, Katie will find it. Rena would... If I were Rena... If Rena was even more mistrusting than usual, why would she set the trap? A trap expert like myself ought to be able to discern that. Sorry if you guys can't hear me, by the way. I'm imitating whispering. Also, my throat is going a little dry. What's this? I saw a plug inserted to the unit under the principal's desk and saw a cord extending under the door to the reception room. There shouldn't have been any reason why a cord had to be extended into that room. The reception room had an outlet of its own. Tiptoed over to the reception room and opened the door. Squeak. The door squeaked as I cracked it open a little. I poked my head inside the reception room. I saw the suspicious cord crossing the room and extending under the door to the hallway. I followed the cord through the reception room. I opened the door to the hallway, and the cord was extending into the storage closet. The storage closet was used to hold cleaning materials. I could smell them from here. The cord was extending into there. Carefully opened the door and turned the light on. The cord was attached to another extension cord, and there was an alarm clock that didn't belong in there. Found it. The time bomb. So all I'd have to do was unplug the cord. I picked up the alarm clock. It looked like a normal alarm clock. Actually, it was a normal alarm clock. I remembered Kumagai calling it a kitchen timer. He said it was a bit like an alarm clock. This wasn't a bit like an alarm clock, it was an alarm clock. Wait, didn't alarm clocks use batteries? This alarm clock was a battery-operated one too. I looked at the extension cord and there was nothing plugged into it. Eh? What was this extension cord for? Why was this extending all the way from the teacher's office? No, Keiichi, run! Satoko? That's the wrong place. You've been tricked. A black shadow was covering me. I felt my body freeze. It was so frozen that I felt it was about to crack. I turned around slowly and saw someone holding a hatchet above their head. I dropped the alarm clock. It made a noise as it hit the ground. Why did you follow the extension cord, and why did you have the alarm clock in your hands? Why did you? All the cells in my body were frozen. This was Rena's trap. Rena was suspicious of everyone, including me. The whole time, she thought there was someone connected to the people outside. This was a trap to lure that person out. Only the people outside knew about the time bomb. I was told about the whole thing, so I followed the extension cord and picked up the alarm clock. How stupid of me. Wait, Rena. I trusted you, Keiichi. How could you? Rena hit me with the backside of the hatchet earlier. It was painful, but it didn't kill me. But this time she was holding the hatchet the right way. It wouldn't just crack my forehead. It would split my entire head open. Rena lifted the hatchet mercilessly. She moved slowly, as if everything was in slow motion. She looked almost divine. Maybe it really was holy. I was praying after all. Praying? What was I praying for? I was praying for my life. It was so sudden I couldn't tell what happened. Rika had jumped onto Rena from behind. I didn't know what kind of weapon Rika used, but Rena started moaning. Clearly her. That brought me back to reality. I couldn't just watch them. I had to get the lighter from Rena. Don't think you can win with mere force. Rena knew I was after the lighter. She closed her fingers around it tightly. Rika was grabbing onto the arm Rena was holding the hatchet in. I wanted to tell her to run, but thanks to Rika I could use both of my hands to get at the lighter. Lighter flew out of Rena's hand. It hooked the hallway floor and dropped down to the floor. I picked it up. At the same moment I did, Rena managed to shake off Rika. There's our chance. I turned in Satoko's direction. Well, Satoko, you should be able to figure it out. Keiichi, I know now. I figured it out. I heard Satoko screaming from the classroom. Satoko had figured out what Rena hid the time bomb. I wanted to catch Rena, but I didn't have time for that. I had to do something about the time bomb instead. Keiichi, hurry up and go back to Satoko. Rika sped her arms, blocking Rena's path forward. What are you doing? Just run! Keiichi, this isn't the first time I've done this for you. Don't you remember? Eh? If I tried a little harder the previous time, you could have made it. So this time you are going to make it. Just go! I didn't know what Rika was talking about. But there was one thing I did know. Just like Rena and Mion were ready to give up their lives for their friends, and I was willing to give up mine, Rika was prepared for that too. Arguably, she's given her life up more than anyone else in this damn game. Therefore, telling Rika to run was like telling her she wasn't my friend. And so I will depend on my friend Rika. Thank you. Keiichi, we're running out of time. Leaving it to Rika, I dashed for the classroom. As soon as Rika heard Keiichi's footsteps reach the classroom, she sighed in relief. As she did, Rena's black shadow came even closer. That's great. That's just great. This isn't a collective, you know. You'll be killed for real. You'll be killed by an angry Rena. You're not afraid of me, are you? You're amazing, Rika. Rika grabbed him up as she ran from the storage closet. She picked it up and held it upside down like a spear. Rika's stance told Rena that she was ready to fight. Rika didn't look like a little girl anymore. She looked so brave that even Rena was startled by it. Boy, you really are amazing. You aren't afraid of being killed at all, huh? Rika smiled cynically. Rika usually never smiled this way. Do you really think I'd be afraid of death? I've experienced several hundred deaths up until now. Why should I be afraid of it all of a sudden? You aren't Rika, are you? You're the one I met that night. Show yourself, alien. Where is the real Rika? The real Rika? She's right here. Me, pa? Ah, oh, you're looking down on me. That really is like Rika. I get it. Oyashiro-sama is an alien. The Fruity family is descended from him, unless you were descended from aliens. Whoops. I'll crack you open and drag out all the parasites in your brain. Rena raised a hatchet and charged at Rika with a scream. Yeah! One swing is all I need to scratch your head open. Rena looked like a beast charging towards its prey. Rika took a step backwards and lowered her body, preparing to counterattack. She did that with no hesitation. Even a minute is plenty. I'll play with you. Come on, hatchet girl. Do you not get it, Keiichi? All the hints were already in place this morning. Calm down, Stoko. Explain more slowly so I can understand. What are you trying to say? Simple if you just remember. Come on, it's quite obvious when you do. Hey, something stinks today. Close the windows. Silly, it'll be hot around here if we close the windows. There's smelling gasoline coming from outdoors. There was no forestry service people in the office, so they weren't doing any work today. The smell wasn't coming from anything they were doing. In other words, it was the smell of Rena's gasoline, which I guessed already. Rena hid the gasoline near the classroom. She had it in a plastic container. You can't smell gasoline that's in a plastic container. So in other words, she had more gasoline ready than just in the container she used it to spread around the classroom. Where was the smell coming from? Was it coming from outside? Vaporized gasoline is heavier than air. It sinks. There was another hint other than that. What? Our ball is missing. You hit it again, didn't you, Hojo? Why would I hide such a stupid thing? If I was going to hide something, I'd hide something better than that. Kids who love to play with their ball never lose it. Should have been in the same place it always was, but it was gone. So that must mean that Rena used it for something. The gasoline was coming from above. The ball was missing, so maybe it was stuffed somewhere. Rena blocked the drain with the ball and called gasoline in the drain canal. Where? On the roof on the second floor. The drain canal extended along the roof of the second floor and then came straight down to the ground. Keep forgetting that they use Americans. We have ground first and second, not first and second. If it was plugged to fill with gasoline, it was like a huge Molotov cocktail that extended from the ground to the roof of the second floor. Furthermore, the drain canal ran by the classroom windows. If the canal exploded, the room would explode too. Therefore, time bomb must be. She ran an extension cord out the second floor window. It's on the rooftop. I picked up a pair of scissors and cut Stoko's bonds. By the way, how did Rika free herself from the rope? I apologise for not being thin enough to slip out myself. I rubbed Stoko's head. Take care of the rest here. I'm going up to the roof. As I jumped out of the classroom, Stoko stopped me. Keiichi, here. What is it? Something silver sailed through the air. I caught it. It was a metal bat. That's Nini's. Make sure you give it back to me, okay? Sure thing. Thanks, Satoko. The metal bat fit right in my palm. I didn't even feel its weight. It really eased my mind. The name Satoshi was written on the handle. This was the bat that belonged to Stoko's brother, Satoshi. He was the victim of last year's tragedy. You and I were the same. I won't let another tragedy take place. I'll treat this as a gift from you who is waiting in the wings. Let's rip apart the script of this demonic tragedy together. Let's go, Satoshi. Pardon me. As I tried to run up the stairs, I heard a loud noise coming from the hallway by the teacher's office. I saw Rika rolling on the floor. Damn, Rika. You held out as long as you could. Damn it. my body were 5 years older. You're next, Keiichi. Whoa. Shit, I have to go. I have to get to the rooftop. How did you figure out? How did you? Still, I won't let you get up there. Rena's face looked unbelievably scary. She was ready to rip me apart if she caught me. In that case, just try me. I jumped up the stairs, skipping every other step. I turned on the bug in my pocket. I didn't have time to put in the earphones. As Rena flew up the stairs, her foot got caught in a jump rope. She tripped and then 3 buckets fell on her head. The result was Toko's trap. Ow, ow. What's a Toko, huh? Stoko leaned against the wall and waved her index finger in a mocking gesture. Oh. You were pretty good, but you're about 300 million light years too early to go up against a trap expert like me. Stoko, light years are a unit of distance, not time. Smash. The 4th bucket hit Stoko on the head. I continued up to the rooftop. Rena ignored Stoko and ran after me. Oh, is she? I did it. I caught the lighter. I know where the time bomb is. It's on the rooftop in the drain canal. I'm headed up there right now. Oh, is she? Is that it? Oishi grabbed a pair of binoculars from Kumagai and looked at the rain gutter on the rooftop. There was something like an alarm clock sitting there. The cord from the clock was extending into the 2nd floor window. It was so obvious, but they didn't even notice it until just then. Stoko was working hard to remove a classmate's restraints, but you couldn't do anything about the bike lock on Mion's neck. Just run, everyone. Forget about me. That doesn't sound like Mion. Why not act like our club president, even in a situation like this? All you have to do as our president is give me an order to undo this lock, okay? Stoko reached for the back of her collar and produced a bent hairpin. Stoko opened the window, climbed out onto the windowsill, and faced the bike lock that was restraining Mion. Everyone, open the curtains and the windows, and then run. But, Class Prez, what about Nebara? The police will help, Keiichi. You will need to run as soon as possible. Huh? Did you unlock it already? To me, this type of lock is child's play. The binoculars were trained down the classroom. All the curtains were open, as well as all the windows. The children, in turn, were all running out into the schoolyard. Oishi pushed Utaka aside, then grabbed his radio and yelled into it. All units, go, go, go. Secure the hostages. The suspect is going up to the 2nd floor, running after one of them. Hey, what are you doing? Oishi, give me back the radio. Utaka tried to grab the radio from Oishi, but Kumagai stuck to him. There was a dull noise, and Utaka crumbled to the floor, convulsing. Oops, sorry. I guess my knee happened to hit your balls. Classroom is still filled with gasoline, so be very careful. You're forbidden from using any gas bombs or flares. Again, do not use gas bombs or flares. The whole place will blow. Support unit to HQ. We secured 24 hostages. 1 is injured. This is the assault unit. We're trying to take control of the 1st floor. We've got a problem. The electrical room is locked and we can't get in. Can't get in? Can't you break down the door? It's located directly opposite the classroom. The smell of gasoline is strong here. We might ignite the gas from breaking down the door. We'll await further orders. Shit. Could have just turned the power off. Forget the electrical room. Go secure the 2nd floor. Assault unit, roger that. Alpha, go. Go, go, go. Utaka, what were you going to do if you failed to secure the electrical room? That's what the special unit was for. This is the problem with Witch Boys. We just have to secure the clock's outlet now. Sniper unit to HQ. I can see a male hostage on the rooftop of the 1st floor. Oh, is she? That's Maebara. Give me the speaker. Maebara, the clock is plugged into the black room on the 2nd floor. I shook my head repeatedly. I couldn't do that. Rena was coming after me, so I couldn't head that way. What else could I do? The only way was to go up to the roof of the 2nd floor and get the clock from there. Maebara, continue up to the roof of the 2nd floor. I'll direct you from there. I wish she was telling me to go further up. Stoko only told me it was on the rooftop of the 2nd floor. She didn't tell me where exactly. She only said it was in the drain canal, but maybe I wish she found it with his binoculars. I put my foot on the railing of the veranda and ran up to the rooftop. I'd never felt so light. I felt like I'd lift myself with just 2 or 3 fingers. That's it, keep going. It's at the furthest end of the drain pipe. You only have 30 seconds. 30 seconds would be plenty of time. I could get there in half that. Over there, was that it? Was. Sniper unit to HQ. I can see the suspect on the rooftop of the 1st floor. Wish you could fire, but you're using live ammo, aren't you? It's not tear gas or anything, is it? No, it's live ammunition. Use those in the military. Japanese police don't need anything like that. Maebara, she's after you. Hurry. She'll be there soon. How many more seconds did I have? Who cares? Whoa. I slid down the roof and grabbed the kitchen timer that was sitting on the drain pipe, which was filled with gasoline. There was a cord with a copper wire attached to it. This was supposed to create sparks and start an explosion. The hands on the clock kept moving, with the second hand trying to reach the minute hand. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3... Pow! I threw it to the ground. A moment later I heard the noise of something breaking. Did I do it? Assault Unit to HQ. The time bomb has been stopped. Yes! Oishi, we did it. We did it. Yeah, Maebara, good job. Stage certainly made me nervous. Cutting it so close isn't elegant, you know? Not only policemen, but the children who were on the way to ambulances raised their voice and cheer. Oishi, there's a message from the fire department. The scene is still dangerous, so order all units to retreat immediately. Isn't the time bomb gone though? Although the ignition device is gone, it's still extremely dangerous. The lives of the assault unit might be at stake. Damn. What about Maebara up there? Can he jump off? Oishi, according to the map, there's a flower bed by the school building. We'll tell him to jump there. Oishi to all units. Stop the operation, fall back immediately, fall back. Alpha here, roger that. Beta here, roger that. Fall back, fall back. Can you hear me, Maebara? Ryugu too. It's too dangerous to stay there. Might explode at any minute. There's a flower bed by the school building. Jump down there. Flower bed? Damn it, can't see it from here. But it didn't sound like I had enough time to be looking for it. I noticed a white hand at the edge of the roof, followed by Rena's head. Rena slowly crawled up onto the rooftop. I waited for her there. I never thought you would find it. It was all for nothing. Rena scratched her throat. The band-aids peeled off and her throat started to bleed. It's game over, Rena. We were confronting each other on the rooftop of the second floor. This wasn't a club activity, but a real battle. Rena was glaring at me with hatred at first. But maybe because she'd already given up, she started smiling wickedly. I heard the chorus of the Higurashi in the background as if to cool us down from the heat of battle. I don't think we needed their service yet, though. Yeah, if it was a board game, you'd have reached the goal and won. But this isn't a game. So this isn't a goal. It's a dead end. Shit, you don't give up, do you? Rena, you really are strong. You never give up. You fight until the bitter end. You keep believing until that point, too. Praise like that won't make me happy now. You ruined everything that I'd risked my life for, Keiichi. I was simply trying to protect our species from the aliens. You ruined it. Humans go extinct. It'll be your fault, Keiichi. That'll be recorded in history. I didn't mean to laugh, but I couldn't help it. My name would be written down in history books of the aliens as the one who destroyed the human species. Somehow that sounded kind of cool. Rena, no matter what you have to say, I've won this game. I've already won and you just don't want to admit it. That's all. Yeah, maybe you're right. But maybe that's not how it works. A game doesn't end when there's a winner. It ends when there's a loser. That means, for me, winning isn't enough. What do you mean? I tapped my shoulder with a metal bat, gesturing for Rena to come at me. I'm going to make you understand that you lost. I won't run or hide. Do you know why? According to the rules of our club, we don't run from our enemies. I'll prove to you that you've already lost, Rena. You ready? Parasites and aliens? How stupid. Who would believe in things like that these days? I can only laugh. You never believed me in the first place, yet you pretended that you did. How dare you deceive me? I won't forgive you. I'll never forgive you. I don't care if you believe in those things, but I would never believe in anything that stupid. Well, if I did have to believe in anything like that, I'd rather believe in the buried treasures of the Tokugawa shogunate. But if you still want me to believe, don't you remember our club's rules? Whoever concedes victory is the correct one. There you go. Rena and I grinned at each other, and as we went around in circles on the rooftop, we both checked the distance between us. If you can take me down, I'll believe in your alien stories. I'll perform a mysterious dance every morning and every night to call for UFOs to come up and beam up livestock. But Rena, if I take you down, then I want you to be ready. I don't even think you need to think further than that. I don't think you do. You'll never defeat me. Rena came at me with a heavy strike. I caught it easily with the metal bat. It looked like there were some sparks. This is finally getting interesting. Hey, maybe you shouldn't say that yet. You might be wrong, you know. When I went through a whole lot of fierce battles in our club, I learned something. I learned about myself. Sparks is bad, folks! Now I know what I need to bring out my ultimate power. Really? I wonder what it is. I wonder. Rena, your hatchet can be a powerful weapon, but my metal bat is as powerful as your hatchet. Sure, it doesn't have a blade, but it reaches farther and it's easier to handle. I won't be going for a defensive battle. I'm going to fight you face to face and I'm going to defeat you. I'm sure I'm stronger than you physically, but you're better at drawing out your true potential, Rena. In other words, we're equally matched. This is great. I won't need to hold back at all. So what are you going to do after you beat me? Take that and that and that. I think I might have the upper hand. Just warming up. Just you wait and see. Wait and see what I do after I take you down. We both put a lot of chips on the pile. Prepare yourself for having to make a big payout. Aren't you counting your chickens before they've hatched? Your bluffing is just pathetic. You don't get it, do you? My strength increases in proportion to my reward, don't you know? Let's see. You'll be my personal Skip all the stupid bits of the dialogue. We're just pretending that's all that's happening is they're fighting each other. That's so like you, Keiichi. No, thank you. Actually, I'll win. And have my revenge. We both laughed like crazy people as we struck at each other. It was strange how much fun it was becoming. Rena and I were trying to kill each other, and yet it was a blast. Sparks were flying. We could get seriously injured. Also, literally explode the entire goddamn building. If we fell off the rooftop, we'd break our bones, yet this was so much fun. I'd been mourning and crying all day today while Rena terrified me. How did all that turn into this? The two of us can't be serious even if we try. Even with sparks flying, we can only goof around. Too bad. That's not me. I like being elegant and graceful. You can have fun goofing around by yourself, Keiichi. Rena's next strike came at a strange angle, but I managed to deflect it. Whoa! Ha! That's too weak. You're done. Finally, I'm all warmed up. This is just a warm-up, right? Huh? Stupid, this isn't even a warm-up. This is like taking a walk. Hey, you're all sweaty. Instead of sweat, you'll be covered in your own blood. What a fucking phrase, am I right, lads? Mibara, jump off. Come on, jump. He isn't even listening to us. He's so into it, he can't even hear anything. Oh, is she? Ah, sorry. What is it? What do you mean, what is it? We have to figure out a way to rescue him. I wish you couldn't figure out why he was distracted, considering the seriousness of the situation. He was engrossed in watching the two of them fight with the sunset behind them. But I wish he wasn't the only one. Everyone watching was captivated by their battle on the rooftop. At that moment, a sudden loud voice broke the silence. Mibara, hang in there! Careful, don't fall! The students who were about to climb onto the ambulance were cheering him on. Mion was being loaded onto a stretcher with bandages around her head, but even she sat up, captivated as she was by Rena and Keiichi's duel. Our once happy days were supposed to have shattered due to a series of misunderstandings. They were supposed to be irretrievable. But, why? Why did I feel this way? This was such a close game, but it wouldn't be fun to stay in stalemate forever. Rena and I kicked at each other with perfect timing and increased the distance between us. Hey, this is a blast! What do you think, Rena? Isn't this just the best? I've been having fun since the very beginning. But it'll be even more fun to split your head open, Keiichi. split it open. The like face movements where the pose stays the same but the face change freaks me out because I'm not used to that sort of animation in these games. That's dangerous. Over here. Come back over here. Let's use more space. Might be about to sneeze again. Something like this doesn't happen too often. Let's enjoy it as much as we can. Pardon me. Need these kids to hurry up. My throat is getting really dry. This will make a great picture. Look, there's a beautiful moon behind us. The breeze feels great. It was such a fantastical scene. Two people were fighting on the rooftop of the school building, with the moon behind them. It was almost unbelievable. All the policemen and children looked at that mysterious and fantastical scene from a distance, completely entranced. Everyone was thinking the same thing, but nobody said anything. Why does it look like they're having fun? Getting all fired up in a breeze this cool? It reminds me of the Minagoroshi festival. I don't really like to just sit back and enjoy the cool of the evening in silence. When the moon comes up, I turn into an animal. All of us club members went crazy on the night of Minagoroshi. The mayor scolded us by the end of it, but we laughed at each other and promised to do the same thing next year. Going crazy under the moon, huh? That sounds cool, doesn't it? Maybe we're already crazy. Yeah, I feel the same. We're having fun trying to kill each other. We must be mad already. This must be what insanity is like. Or what it's like if you are Xenos Yeet Galvus. Some people say the moon has the power to arouse passions in people. Maybe that's true and maybe it's not. One thing that's for sure is that even if it were a new moon tonight, we would still feel the same way. As our surroundings got darker, the sparks would create with each other, with each hit started to look like fireflies. Hey now, wasn't the gasoline in the drain pipe right nearby? Who cares? If an explosion happens, it happens. Glad they finally thought the thing that I've been thinking all throughout. Hey, what are you doing? Are you getting too sweaty to hold the bat? Why don't you take a break and dry your hands off? I'll split your hood open while you do that, though. Haha, that's a good one. Isn't your skirt clinging to your legs? You can take it off. Stop saying words like that, Keiichi. I'll just watch you instead of attacking. Really? Then I'll give you a good blow to the head while you're charmed by my leggies. Haha. This really is so much fun, isn't it, Rena? Yep, it sure is. We flew. We danced. Stop flickering, you're making my eyes hurt. We struck. We laughed. We stepped back once in a while to catch a breath and then charged at each other and let the sparks fly. We aimed at each other as we went around in circles on the rooftop of the school, our special stage. Rena and I were all sweaty, but we weren't exhausted yet. The beads of sweat rolling down my body just tickled me. We exchanged furious blows, one after the other. Neither of us was at an advantage or disadvantage. Neither of us exulted in victory or raged in defeat. The battle with Rena in itself was fun. It was like a dance. A dance I couldn't dance by myself. It was a dance I could only dance with someone with whom I was equally matched. Didn't you think the same thing I did when we did that club activity with the whole class? The day we duelled with water guns? Yeah, I did. We wanted a fight like this again. Really is hurting my throat though, kids. As we thought that way on the rooftop, our classmates down below must have thought the same. A fight was so pure and passionate that everyone thought the same thing. We want to join them. It was the same back then. We were using water guns, but we did the same thing. But this is far more fun. I don't have to worry about how much water I have left in my gun. Yeah, we can't create sparks with water guns. We couldn't strike at each other like this either. We both were breathing hard, waiting for the right timing to take a step forward. In the midst of that, we grinned at each other. This is exactly what I said then, but I'm going to say it again. Okay then, I'll respond just the same. We both smiled wickedly in the same moment. This is so much fun. I don't even want to end this. Haha, don't hate me if you lose. No, I won't. I'd hate myself for ending this game, but I know I wouldn't be the one to cry in the end. I don't know about that. Your feet are getting weak as if they're made out of straw. Shut up. Oh. Wow. How you wanna... This was doing so well, and then we got to the scene that I'm sure was meant to be dramatic, but just feels stupid. Mentally, I might just cut this scene out. Everyone was captivated by our fight. They were swept up in our fight. We both had weapons. Weapons deadly enough to seriously hurt one another. But we were both perfectly matched, and neither of us had hit the other yet. Why do they look so happy? This is just ridiculous. All the people below were just watching this fight on the rooftop with the beautiful moon as a backdrop. Not even the police could stop them. This was impossible. This battle was absurd and absolutely impossible. Keiichi, try to stay in the middle of the roof. Use the height to your advantage. Soko and her other classmates cheered Keiichi on, but there were some who were cheering for Rena too. To them, this was no longer a fight to the death. It was just a second round of their water gun battle. A club activity is a club activity and a game is a game. This was just a second round, so nobody would die. Even though they had real weapons, nobody thought they would get hurt. Rika wasn't cheering, she was just looking up at the rooftop. I've never seen anything like this before, Rika thought to herself. She thought Keiichi could win, not just against Rena. Rika thought Keiichi could even destroy the wall of the maze of tragedies that had no exit. What are the snipers doing? Suspects trying to harm the hostage. Fire immediately! Azutaka yelled into the radio and Mion screamed for him to stop. No! Don't shoot Rena! Rena isn't crazy anymore. She isn't who she was earlier. That's a different Rena, so please don't shoot her. What do you mean she's different? Look! She's swinging around that weapon. She's trying to kill him. Unless we shoot her down, the hostage is in danger. No! Don't shoot at Rena! If you shoot Rena, Keiichi will kill you for sure. I can guarantee it. Why would he kill me? They aren't trying to kill each other. They're just having fun creating sparks. Can't you see? Keiichi is talking to her too. He's telling her they're equal. That means she can trust him more than anyone. Keiichi will wake Rena up. No, he's already waking her up. Rena's nightmare is almost over. Keiichi, you're the best. I don't even want to kill you anymore. A world without you would be so boring. Fucking is, Xenos Yeet Galvus. Thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. So what's going to happen to the world, huh? Aren't aliens trying to invade it? You know, I don't think I even care about aliens or parasites anymore. If the world is going to perish, go ahead and perish. Who cares about the conspiracy of the three families anyway? That's right, even if a meteor hits the Earth tomorrow, nothing could be more fun than this moment. Hey, aren't you supposed to die tonight due to some poison? You sure don't look like you only have a few hours left to live. That's right, I completely forgot about that. I'm supposed to claw my throat out and die tonight. Hey, that's a scenario you came up with, don't forget. Come on, scratch your throat once in a while at least. Hey, I know it doesn't itch anymore, does it? Definitely doesn't. This is more fun than scratching your throat could ever be. Yeah, the sense of ours really is way more fun. I wished it would never end, but my body was screaming. I was breathing hard and I felt dizzy from a lack of oxygen. My upper body felt as light as a piece of paper, as if even a slight breeze could take me away. It really had been a blast, but I needed it to end soon. I felt the same sadness as in that water gun fight. Back then it declared a draw. I wonder what will happen this time. Who knows? But one thing is for certain. What? I love doing this with you. Me too! I jumped backwards and slammed the roof with my bat. The sound was as intense as a huge drum, and the noise woke up the people who were captivated by our fight. The silence returned, and the chorus of Higurashi filled the air. Okay, let's pause for a moment. Sure, let's end this with one more strike. We started to move slowly and increase the distance between us. Everyone realised it. The fight was ending very soon. Okay, this is it. I'm going to ask you one more time. What is it? You're betting something on this, right? Isn't that why you were fighting? I did? Sorry, I forgot. You're hopeless. Okay, listen carefully. If I win, you'll become my Of course it... If I win, here's my dumb condition that she doesn't feel like reading out loud. Could be fun somehow. If you win, Rena. I paused for a moment. If you win, I'll believe your stories. Rena was happy until just a moment ago, but the expression was suddenly wiped from her face. Aliens are invading the Earth and we have parasites in our brains. The Sonozaki family is pulling the strings. They're researching the parasites in secret, and aliens will be in control of the world starting tomorrow. I will believe in that. Also, since you're dying tonight, I'll make sure you go peacefully, so don't worry. It's not fun if I win, is it? Your reward sounds a lot more fun, Keiichi. Well, what can I do? You did all this because of what I just said, right? Yeah, I guess. Sorry, I almost forgot. Rena smiled sadly for a moment, but soon that expression was wiped off her face too. I'm going to win no matter what. Boo boo. It's not fun if I win. Then do you want to change it? What do you want? Finally, Rena smiled happily again. The breeze dried our sweat. It was a good feeling. We no longer went crazy, even with the moon out. We could finally enjoy the coolness of the evening. It'd be so nice if we could just lie down on our backs and gaze at the moon. Still smiling a little, Rena spoke. I want the same reward as yours, Keiichi. What? You want me? That's something. You don't have to be my maid, but the rest is the same. I want you to say good morning to me every morning and good night to me every night. I want you to treat me well and let me play around all the time. I guess no matter who wins, we'll always be together. We'll be together, but the one who gets the special treatment is different. Why am I fighting with someone I like so much? I don't know. Why are we on the rooftop? Why do we even come up here in the first place? I don't know. I forgot. Maybe we're both airheads. That's why we floated up here. Yep, we're airhead buddies. We're buddies, alright? Well then, should we get started? I don't want to cool down too much. You're right. We better finish up before it gets too cold. We readied our weapons and took our stances. I was going to suggest that we stop this. I really was. I shook my head slowly. No, we have to finish this. Otherwise it won't end. Our fight won't end. We can't quit. We have to bring this to an end. This isn't right. It's possible that no matter who wins or loses, there'll be no reward. Even if that happens, we shouldn't hate each other. So I'm going to tell you this now. What? It was fun. Yeah, I feel the same way. Rena, even if one of us dies, we'll see each other again. And when we do, we'll have fun in a normal way. We'll laugh together in a normal way. And we'll fall in love in a normal way. We won't doubt each other. We'll trust each other. And we'll meet again, right? For sure, right? Yes, for sure. Tears appeared in Rena's eyes. I noticed I was about to break down too. Okay, are you ready? There was no signal, but we stepped forward at the same time. Our shadows jumped in the moonlight. We were fighting so viciously earlier, but now it was like we were moving very slowly. We must have looked like a shadow play. Everyone was watching the shadows dance. Rena's shadow hit my metal bit violently. As a result, I let go of it. The metal bat bounced onto the floor, then rolled down to the schoolyard. I'd lost my weapon. Here was Rena's chance. Of course she wouldn't miss it. I was lying flat on the roof and Rena got on top of me. Rena's knees were holding down my arms and there was no way for me to fight back. The moon was divided into two. I want to do that. The moon was divided into two. The shadow of Rena's hatchet can split the moon right down the middle. This was the end. Shit, that was good. Can't even pull my arms away. Hey Keiichi, it's over, right? Not yet. It's not over until you swing down your hatchet. I don't wanna. Huh? I don't want to. I don't want to. Rena's arms were still raised, but tears were pouring from her eyes. What happened? What went wrong? I loved everyone and I trusted everyone. When did I start to doubt them? I don't know why I'm doing this to you. I don't know. Why am I doing this to people I love so much? You realized it. You realized it in this world. I can't believe myself. Every day was so much fun, but why? Why? I didn't have any complaints. I didn't worry about anything, so why did I try to destroy everything with my own two hands? Rena, you're incredible. After I killed you and Mion, I didn't even realize I'd done anything wrong, so I left a note and killed Oishi. Called Oishi, rather. Still believed that someone else was at fault. Until, even after I was dead. Didn't even notice I'd sinned. How sad it was to kill my friends because of little misunderstanding, even when they were trying to help me. And how painful it was to not realise it was a sin. Therefore, you're amazing, Rena. You didn't kill any of your friends. You came to your senses before you committed a sin. You're incredible, Rena. Just incredible. You're totally different from me. Rena stood up slowly and lowered her hatchet. I hurt my friends. I hurt Mion. Just apologise to her. Personally, I appreciate that the wounds will help me tell the twins apart. I've already killed. Huh? No, you haven't. Who did you kill? Rena, Mami, and Teppei Hojo. Those two. Thought it was right to kill them, but the day I killed them, the world started to go crazy. Did that mean that it was wrong to kill them? I don't know if it was right or wrong, but it wasn't the best thing you could have done. What do you mean the best thing? Don't you know? I grabbed Rena's head and embraced her. Then I told her. I told her something so simple. It was so simple that anyone could think of it. But Rena didn't do it. I didn't do it either back then. If you're in danger or you feel like doubting others or something bad happens, it's so simple. You should talk to your friends. That's right. You're right. Rena cried in my arms for a while. She cried about the wrong choice that she made at the very beginning. The choice couldn't have been hard to see. I'm sure it was something that was within her grasp. How stupid it was to worry about it by herself. She had friends. She had friends whom she trusted. Why did she think she couldn't talk to her friends about it? I was wrong. Why didn't I talk about it? Everyone trusted me, so why didn't I trust them? I was the same way before. That's why I won't laugh at you. But you realised it. You realised it a lot sooner than I did. We will trust each other. We will never doubt our friends. We will rely on each other. We will talk to each other and help each other. That's why friends are always happy and why we can endure anything together. Okay, Rena? Why don't we respond to the curtain call? This is really the end of everything. What do you mean by the curtain call? What do you mean? Well, I was just talking to myself. Come on. We stood up together, holding hands. The moon was hanging behind us. When I nodded, Rena threw away her hatchet. It disappeared into the darkness below. Then I spoke to the audience in hell, the demons who weren't expecting this ending. I was proclaiming victory. That's all for tonight. We overcame this tragedy. We'll never doubt each other again. We'll be united forever. No matter what disaster might befall us, don't think we'll ever yield. Who cares about tragedy? Who cares about disaster? Even if the script is written by demons, we'll tear the whole thing to pieces. I knew it. I suspected it as soon as they stood up. The incident at the Forest Service field office in Hinamizawa. Date of event? Mid-J, June 25th, the 58th year of the Showa era. Location? Hinamizawa, Shishibono City, X-Chon, inside the Forest Service field office. Fan of this music. On June 25th, the suspect, Rena Rena, broke into the Forest Service field office in Hinamizawa. She forced her way into the classroom of the local school, housed within an office complex, and pleaded to take 25 people hostage. Suspects gathered around a large quantity of gasoline and held the school hostage for over 7 hours. The situation remained in a deadlock for some time, but at 6:45, several hostages resisted and fled from the building. At the same time, a special unit from Osaka Police Department, 2nd White Division, appeared on the scene. 24 of the hostages were safely rescued. The remaining hostage had fled to the roof, and after a brief pursuit, the suspect engaged him in close combat. At 19:10, she agreed to disarm and surrender, freeing the final hostage. Casualties: 4, all minor injuries. Sonozaki Mion was captured by the suspect around noon that day. She escaped at 6:45 and was taken to safety. The suspect inflicted minor injuries on her during the fight. Rika Furude captured Soko Hojo during the fight. Furude had minor injuries during the fight. Hojo fell and suffered minor injuries during her escape. Mibara Keiichi released the suspect around 1910. He received minor injuries when he engaged in combat with the suspect. Regarding the arrest, Ryuki Rena, she disarmed and surrendered to the police at 1910 and was subsequently arrested. She was taken to the Okonomiya police station and questioned. She admitted to the outline giving birth. There has been some dispute about the accountability of the suspect during the crime, but after subjecting her to a psychiatric examination, the prosecution determined the suspect is fully accountable for her actions. Bullshit. Suspect is in direct opposition to this and has submitted their own psychiatric report denying the suspect's accountability. The trial is currently in session. Oh, I thought that one of the snipers shot her. If it was a story that I was writing, that's what would have happened. So really, this is the best end. Like, none of the main characters died. This story has had the best ending so far. So, a much better translation for this title is When the Higurashi Cry, opposed to Higurashi When They Cry, but it's become so used to that title that... Well, let's remove the crazy fight scene from the end. That shit was fucked. The staff room has been unlocked. Let's... The achievement is called The Curtain Call. And it is... Overcome a tragedy. I'm not sure how much that tragedy was overcame, but... let's read this last tip. The car began to rattle as the road turned from asphalt to gravel. The cry of the cicadas seeped through the tightly shut windows. Most people would open their car windows and let the natural air in along with the sound of the cicadas, but people are also spoiled. He'd rather keep himself cool with air conditioning turned to max than listen to the sounds of nature. Usually it was the rainy season at this time of year, but this June the summer had already come without any rain, just like how the weather was on that day, 20 years ago. The air around this area is just as clear as I remember it. Yeah, the winds are cool and the sunshine is bright. This place could have become a World Heritage Site like the village in Gifu. What a waste. But thanks to that, there are no irritating tourists around here. See, that makes it much better. Why do tourists forget about pedestrian traffic laws when they're in rural areas? They walk in the middle of the road, you know? Akasaka, do you still do stuff outdoors? Not as much as I used to. My job doesn't give me much free time. Same here. Oh, hey, there he is. The other man noticed and waved his hand before anyone in the car could honk the horn. The man was a young fellow on a motorcycle with a big bag blocking soldiers. He looked like he was ready to go camping. Akasaka and his partner stepped out of the car and shook hands with the young man. Captain, it's good to see you again. Yo, how have you been doing lately? Well, I hope you can take it easy today. This is Akasaka. He took care of me back in college. Hello, my name is Akasaka. I wish he was supposed to come today, but he had to go for a medical checkup at the last minute. Anyway, it's a pleasure to meet you. It's an honor, sir. So, Akasaka, where should we go first? His name was Mamoru Akasaka. He was a veteran detective from the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. Despite the fact that he was close to his retirement, he hadn't lost his clear instinct and sharp eyes at all. Those eyes showed the confidence he'd built through many risky experiences, and he had a well-built muscular body and a fearless aura. He must have fought against many violent criminals. His connection to Hinamizawa went back almost 30 years, all the way to 1978. He was in the Public Safety Division of the Metropolitan Police Department. He came to Hinamizawa to investigate the kidnapping case of the grandson of Inugai, the then Minister of Construction. There he met Oishi and Rika Furude. Rika Furude predicted her own death. Akasaka regretted for the rest of his life that he couldn't save that little girl from her fate. He saw the news of the great Hinamizawa disaster on TV and met up again with Oishi. They pledged to uncover the mystery of both the cruel fate that fell upon the little girl rather, and the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. So I guess the great disaster happened anyway, and everybody still died. Which sort of confirms my idea that no matter what else happens, the great Hinamizawa disaster always happens at the end of, every round. Unfortunately, Hinamizawa was sealed off for a long time. As a result, all Akasaka and Oishi could do for the past 20 years was publish little information they gathered, and ask for their readers to send them tips and clues. But recently, the seal on Hinamizawa had finally been lifted. However, they couldn't come to Hinamizawa until today due to Akasaka's busy work schedule and Oishi's poor health. In fact, Oishi was supposed to come with Akasaka, but he was called in for an emergency health checkup. The other two who came along were Akasaka's juniors from university. One worked at the ground SDF and the other was his subordinate. They were assigned the mission of sealing off Hinamazawa, so they were quite knowledgeable about the village. Akasaka took out a scrapbook from his bag. The corners of the scrapbook were all dented, making it look very old. Akasaka flipped through the pages, thought for a second, and let them know his first destination. "All right, please take me to Onagafuchi Swamp." "No problem. Right this way, sir." The young man got on his bike and waited for the others to get back into their car. They honked at each other to signal they were ready, and the young man led the car to the swamp. Heading through the forest, they came to an open area where the ground was covered by concrete. There wasn't even a single drop of water in sight. All the water of the swamp had been replaced by concrete. That was what Onagafuchi Swamp looked like now. Yeah, there wasn't a single drop of water, let alone a swamp. I was told they sealed the swamp right after the disaster. The place was already encased in concrete by the time I arrived here for my mission. Let's go down there and take a closer look. Akasaka got out of the car and walked to the centre of the concrete-filled swamp. It wasn't a parking lot or a heliport. It was just a huge empty concrete space right in the middle of the forest. So this is the place people say was a landing spot for UFOs. Really? Never heard of that. Well, that's what they write on occult websites. They say that this is the place where our government met with aliens. Can't blame them for such rumours though, because any concrete space in the middle of a forest sure does look weird. Haha. Volcanic dust erupted from the swamp in June 1983. The deadly mixture of hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide engulfed and destroyed Hinamazawa in a single night. The village was sealed off and the SDF covered the swamp with concrete. But the people who write those rumours on the internet actually have a point. Any geologist could tell you that covering source of volcanic gas with concrete is absolutely useless. That's true. I've never heard of anyone trying to prevent a volcano from erupting by pouring concrete into its crater. On the other hand, our country is known for wasteful construction using the taxpayers' money. Lately, people who love things like supernatural phenomena and UFOs write on the internet about the Great Hinamazawa disaster. I have a fun story about this. So, we were talking about, like, aliens and shit in a Discord that I'm in earlier. Specifically, we were talking about how the, like, ancient aliens conspiracies are always problematic. But it reminded me of a book that I am certain that I read as a kid, which is this Dorling Kindersley book about, like, various mysteries and strange things that happen. And I remember it being this tiny, teeny little book, and the only story, unfortunately, that I can remember from it is a story of somebody who was, like, followed around by a shower of rocks and debris no matter where she went. And the thing is, I don't understand why my primary school had this book, and I have no idea if I have the actual memory of reading it, but I found one of two books that I think it could be for sale on Amazon. So unfortunately I gave Jeff Bezos £2.50 and I've ordered it, and we'll see whether or not it is it's anything. If it's not, I guess I'll take it to a charity shop or something, but it baffled me conceptually, you know? But I really want to try finding it again, just to see, more than anything, to see if I remember that story of the person getting followed around by rocks correctly, because Googling it gives me absolutely nothing. It's well known by now that the cause of the disaster was an eruption of deadly volcanic gas from a magma chamber. In 1986, a similar natural disaster occurred at Lake Naos in Cameroon, Africa, so people easily believed that such a rare natural disaster could occur anywhere on Earth, and that was what happened in Hinamazawa as well. There was also a third one that happened, but it didn't kill anybody. I believe the one in Lake Naos, or Nios, however you pronounce it, caused a lot of damage. The third one was, it was a smaller eruption and it was a lot more isolated, so I think some people got sick, but nobody was killed. A rumour about another possible explanation had begun to fly around on the internet recently. They say that the disaster was a cover-up by the government, and that it was actually a biochemical terrorist attack by aliens. Why had such a rumour begun to spread now? They claim to back up their theory with a secret document known as File Number 34. Someone online named it File Number 34 for descriptive purposes, but the name stuck and spread since then because it sounded like a government conspiracy. People loved it. It's unknown how or from where they obtained those documents, but they posted scans and pictures which were all ridiculous. Plus, more fake evidence was produced over time, so now even the existence of such documents are in doubt. File number 34 deserves a bit more explanation. However, since it started on the internet, truth and lies were all mixed together and it became more like an urban legend. So this is what was believed to mostly be true. File number 34 was a notebook written by a nurse named Mio Takano who worked at a local clinic in Hinamazawa. File number 34 was most likely named after her. This woman was a researcher who studied the demon myth of Hinamazawa and tried to solve what it meant. The contents of this notebook state that she prophesied the Great Hinamazawa disaster of 1983. According to her research, a UFO crash landed in Hinamazawa a long time ago and sunk into Onagafuchi Swamp. The UFO carried parasitic bacteria from space and they began to infect the locals. The infected villagers began to behave extremely violently, so much so that they were fit for the word demon. Takano insisted that this was the explanation for the myth about demons pouring out the swamp. An alien who survived the crash realised that the Earthlings had gone crazy because of the bacteria he brought in, and he decided to show himself to the villagers to help them out. This is how Oyashiro-sama was born. The alien was able to cure the villagers with highly advanced technology, but couldn't eradicate the bacteria completely. Since the villagers looked up to the alien as some sort of deity, the alien utilised its status to hand down specific rules to the villagers in order to stabilise the disease. The bacteria took a liking to Hinamizawa's habitat, so when a carrier of the disease left Hinamizawa, the symptoms would re-emerge. Therefore, the alien made it a rule not to leave the village. This leads to the legend of the transcendence of Onagafuchi. The weird practices and miracles that the villagers performed were realised by means of the advanced technology they received from the alien. Those maniacs do indeed have a colourful perspective on things, don't they? Do you remember Nostradamus' prophecies? People said the world was going to end in 1999, but nothing happened in July and people acted like they didn't even know about it. Those TV shows made people as scared as they could be and then ignored the fact that it didn't happen. But Miya Takano did predict the Great Hinamizawa disaster. It's not a lie. Look at the page in this scrapbook. You must be joking. Akasaka, is this for real? As time passed, the bacteria stabilised in human bodies and became harmless. The alien and the bacteria began to fade away from people's minds. However, the alien has lived on for hundreds of years with the protection of their three families. Still lives on as the spirit of a deity in the secret temple of the Furude Shrine. The alien manipulated the bacteria living inside the villagers and maintained control over them for hundreds of years. The alien wanted to regain its power and started researching how to bring back lost powers of the bacteria, etc., etc. Things get much stranger from there. People say the disaster was actually part of the alien's plan to conquer the entire Earth by spreading the reawakened bacteria. Japanese government has a secret division that fights alien invasions, and they trained at Area 51 in the US, etc., etc. And then they moved in to stop the invasion by sealing off the entire village, and they killed all of the residents by using toxic gas. Hey, there's a movie that's just like that. Some black guy's lead character. Oh, what was the title? Am I something? Yeah, I know, it's too crazy to be real. But the writer of this bunchable, Miya Takano, was mysteriously murdered in June 1983. Right before her death, she gave the scrapbook to a girl as if she knew she was going to die very soon. That girl is known as Girl A. Some guy who investigated the case was able to track it down to a girl named Rena Ryugu. So now it's known as the Rena Ryugu theory on the internet. Rena Ryugu inherited Miya Takano's will by means of a scrapbook. She tried to defend against the unplanned invasion by holding a school hostage, demanding the local police uncover the alien's plot. Of course, no one believed her and they assumed she was in a state of paranoia. Back then, people assumed that Rena Ryugu took Miya Takano's delusions seriously and was motivated to commit a poorly executed crime. When she held the school hostage, Rena Ryugu told the local police the alien was controlling the three families and that it was plotting bioterrorism on a massive scale. And the very next day, the Great Hinamizawa disaster occurred. Oof. You gotta be kidding. Couldn't it just be a coincidence? I don't know. According to the people who believe it's not just a coincidence, there are many inconsistencies in the SDF's immediate sealing off the operation. Filling the swamp with concrete is one example. Several of the SDF soldiers on duty at the time testified that some people were conducting secret investigations outside the usual geological survey before the area was closed off. Of course, those who think it's just a coincidence say the researchers simply took precautionary measures to keep unauthorised people out of the area. I have to agree with a lot of people. People also question why they sealed off the village for such a long time. After its volcanic gas eruption, Miyake Lake was only sealed for 4 to 5 years. What happened in Hinamizawa was an exceptionally rare natural disaster, yet it was sealed for over 20 years. I heard that the residents of Miyake Island returned to the home island faster than was originally intended because they'd requested it so strongly. But in the case of Hinamizawa, there were no residents alive who wished to return to the first place. Perhaps the government took their time until they were absolutely certain it was safe. How about this one? The SDF members who were on the mission to seal off Hinamizawa had their blood samples taken periodically. Some of them were discharged from the mission without any explanation after the results came back. Some believe they were using the members of the SDF as a human test subjects to see if they got infected or not. I think they were just checking up on the members' health condition, since they were in an area where the gas disaster occurred. Besides, normal businessmen also take annual physical checkups, and they have their blood samples taken there as well. Yeah, I understand your point too, but I have another interesting theory. There are some people who believe there was no gas emitted during the so-called Great Hinamizawa disaster. No volcanic gas? What does that mean? Basically what they're saying is there was no volcanic gas and it was a sort of government cover-up. It's like in Spielberg movie. You know, the one where humans make contact with UFOs? See, that's exactly how maniacs always explain things. What kind of basis do they have to say there was no volcanic gas emission? A bunch of those maniacs came to Hinamizawa as soon as the seal was lifted. According to them, the hydrogen sulfide in the volcanic gas could have caused some corrosion to metallic objects and major damage to the wildlife. However, they found no such signs of disruption, which led them to claim there was no gas to begin with. This village was abandoned for 20 years. I doubt they could find anything anyway. Well, that's the thing with the internet. You can't believe everything you read on it. Akasaka, please don't tell me you're buying these stories. First I didn't, but lately I'm beginning to think there might be some truth to them. Believe in UFOs? Oh, come on. Well, what if this scrapbook is the real file number 34? Huh? The scrapbook is the one that Rena Ryugu possessed when she took the school hostage on June 25th, 1983. It was assumed to be lost during the confusion of the disaster, but Mr. Oishi's old friend was unable to locate it in an evidence storage at the prefectural police headquarters. Back then, Oishi thought Rena Ryugu was delusional, but after reading this again after the Great Hinamazawa disaster, some of the content seemed to hold vital clues. It's not the alien part that he was interested in, but her theory that an endemic disease of parasitic microbes in Hinamazawa was responsible for the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Of course, there's no proof that such microbes existed, so it still remains at a theoretical level. Oishi says that the three families might have been researching how to bring back the original deadlier microbe in order to revive the religious devotion the villagers used to have. The Great Hinamazawa disaster could be an experiment that went wrong. This theory is also based on the theories and myths he found on the internet. Village clinic's chief doctor died mysteriously right before the Great Hinamazawa disaster. A girl, Rika Furude, was brutally murdered on the night Rena Ryugu took the school hostage. So this happens too. Quel bizarre. Could have been an underground research lab beneath the village, and Dr. Iria could have been forced to do microbiological research, but he couldn't live with his own sins and committed suicide. Rika Furude could have been brutally murdered and sacrificed for some ritual ceremony in the name of Oyashiro-sama's revival. However, their experiment went wrong. Instead of the microbes being parasitic in the villagers, they became a killer virus, and they exterminated the entire village in one night. It's obvious that it wasn't a simple gas disaster. Cannot ignore the fact that one girl predicted a bioterrorist attack right before the disaster, and that several villagers died mysteriously, including Miyoto Kano herself, who wrote about all that in the scrapbook. It doesn't sound right to say that the Great Hinamazawa disaster was an unpredicted and coincidental natural disaster. When you read this file number 34, it's obvious. So you're saying that the Great Hinamazawa disaster wasn't a rare natural disaster, but was in fact an act of bioterrorism by some cultists? In the modern area, everyone in Japan knows about the shocking incident where a doomsday cult created a nerve gas sarin and unleashed it for the purposes of mass murder. But in the 80s, the idea of a single cult being able to carry out such an act of terrorism didn't even cross our minds. Looks at camera like I'm in the office. Some also whispered that the STF kept the area sealed for so long so they could study some lethal virus, but I'm not convinced. Haha, Lisa's story sounds more convincing than the ones with aliens and UFOs. The idea of cultists and domestic terrorism sounds much more rational. Maybe there really was a UFO that crash-landed. When Rena Ryugu took the school hostage, one of the demands to the police was to have them pull the wreckage of the UFO from the Onagafuchi swamp. That's ridiculous. Well, even if I wanted to make sure if it's ridiculous or not. Look at it. Swamp is filled with concrete several meters thick and there's no way we can check. This is all because of that ridiculous construction that doesn't even do anything to prevent the volcanic gas. Well then, the only way to prove Akasaka-senpai would be to find a survivor of Hinamazawa and try to find that microbe in them. Sadly, that's almost impossible. After the Great Hinamazawa disaster, some survivors were subject to a witch hunt. So even if there were any survivors, they won't tell you they're from this area. Right after the disaster, some people from Hinamazawa started displaying erratic behaviour. When they started dying mysteriously and committing suicide in strange ways, people got scared of them and chased them out of their neighbourhoods. The government was practically useless in protecting the privacy at the time, so the former residents of Hinamazawa lied about where they were from and have kept it that way since. In that case, it's a dead end. But it's my duty as a cop to keep trying. There's enough circumstantial evidence to say that the Great Hinamazawa disaster wasn't a natural one. If I could grab a hold of one piece of concrete proof, I think I could start reading in the truth behind all this. Yeah, but it's been over 20 years. Truth might be lying somewhere very deep in the darkness. That's true. I might not find any answers. It's already the 21st century. What happened in Hinamazawa in June 1983? The only factual evidence that I had was that Miyoto Kano had mysteriously died and left a scrapbook predicting a bioterrorist attack. A young girl took a school hostage to make people listen to this prediction, but no one took it seriously. The chief doctor of the village clinic committed suicide. People believe that little girl, Rika Furude, was the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama and that she was brutally murdered. What was the truth behind this scrapbook? Was it written to reveal a huge conspiracy? Or was it just a bunch of delusions written by an occult maniac? If the contents of the scrapbook were true, the disaster could have been avoided if we'd heeded the warnings of one girl. If they weren't true, then who created the disaster to follow the scenario of the scrapbook? After the sarin gas nerve incident, the words mind control came into the spotlight. In contrast to brainwashing, which can easily force a person to commit certain acts in the short term, mind control takes a long time to gradually make a person believe that what they must do is the right thing to do, and to act upon it as if they were an idea. So character alteration, which is far more serious than brainwashing. The cult behind the sarin gas incident induced fear and anxiety to its members through its revelations of doomsday. At the same time, they ordered them to do certain things as a means of salvation and had them do so voluntarily. The formula was quite similar to how Rena Ryugu became a puppet of file number 34. So does that mean that Rena Ryugu was mind-controlled by someone? Does that mean that the cult that mind-controlled her tried to cause the end of the world in order to increase the credibility of their teachings, just like the other cult did? Would that make file number 34 some sort of religious textbook for them? When I lose my grip on what's true and what's not, sometimes it makes me feel that someone might be laughing in amusement at this disaster. Scrapbook was like a script. It was a script for a tragedy that takes the lives of thousands of villagers in one night. It was a script for demons who laugh at the loss of human life. Someone wrote that script. Someone performed it. Someone watched the show and laughed. Damn it. The hell happened in Hinamizawa in June 1983? A certain someone faked their death. That's what I reckon happened. Right. Let's read the staff room and finally be free. Hello, my name is Rikishio7. Hope you enjoyed playing Higurashi When They Cry Hill, Chapter 6, Tsumihoroboshi. There are several themes I want to write in this chapter, but I'd like to talk about one of them here. It's about the denial of murder. This is something I had to write sooner or later, since this is a novel about serial murders. There are two means that youngsters in particular use these days to solve problems, which are murder and suicide. When we feel stressed, we choose to either get rid of the source of the stress or to get away from it. Let's say you're bullied by a kid at school. You have two ways to solve the problem. You can choose either to get rid of the kid from your current environment or to get away from the environment itself. Usually bullies are stronger and have the underlings, so you don't chance alone to get rid of them. It's also not easy to switch classes or quit school, so you can't easily get away from the situation. As a result, the situation gets worse day by day and your stress urges you to solve the problem immediately. And you come up with murder or suicide as easy solutions. If suicide is considered defeat, you'd want to consider murder. I feel like there are many people who think that way. However, if you actually committed a murder, it wouldn't be easy to pay for the sin. I believe murderers know that well too. But you really hate the bully who pushed you to the limit where you have no choice but to kill him. So with a determination that turns your entire life upside down, you commit murder. But if you have such strong determination, there have to be more ways to take than opting for murder, which should be the last resort. You can talk to your friends. If that doesn't work, you can talk to your family. If that doesn't work, you can talk to your teacher. If that doesn't work, then what? There have to be more ways. If you have the determination to give up on your life by committing murder, there have to be more ways. A modern era is better than any era before it. There are many hotlines you can call to talk to someone. Even if you don't have any friends or family, there are many places you can go for help. The people who will answer the phone aren't amateurs. They're volunteers, but they're also veterans who've worked as social workers or juvenile counsellors for a long time. I can assure you they have more social experience and passion than your parents do. People who work to help people for free can't be bad people. If you feel like you have no choice but to kill the bully or commit suicide, please try to call these hotlines. People who think it's useful to talk to others usually haven't really talked to anyone. Looks the camera like I'm in the office? Have the courage to call. There'll be somebody you can completely rely on at the other end of the line. Don't keep it to yourself. Talk to somebody. Ryukishi wrote such a long story just to tell you this. He must be a very poor writer. So he wants to talk to you all rather than worrying all by himself. How can I write even more entertaining stories? Haha. 07th expansion, Ryukishi 07. That's a good message at the end. Like, hey kids, take care of your mental health. Well, folks, with that wonderfully dramatic ending, we are going to end things off here. I am going to say thank you very much for watching. It is very much appreciated, and I do hope you enjoyed. My throat is shot to shit, so I am probably going to go for a little walk to try and get these leg cramps out, and then go pass the fuck out, because I need to go into the city tomorrow. I will be streaming Nier Automata on Saturday. We are going to be continuing with the main story. I'm going to try and finish Route A, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Then on Sunday, if I don't finish Nier on Saturday, I will be doing another Nier stream, and if I do finish it, there will be no streams and I will officially be on hiatus. After that, I won't be streaming for a while. Next Tuesday is the day that I move out of my current apartment. I'm then in London for a week, and then I fly out to the West Coast. And I really don't know how things are going to go once I get there, so rather than planning, I'm going to see how I feel. But for now, I am going to say take care everybody, have a wonderful evening, do look after yourselves, be excellent to each other. If you need help, reach out, talk to somebody. If you're in the UK, Samaritans. I don't know their phone number off the top of my head, but they're good folks, the Samaritans are. I'm sure they're exactly the same things in the States and all across the everywhere. There's also Mind, and a couple of other charities in the UK. There's one specifically for young people. Take this from me, who finds it really difficult to reach out. Don't do as I say, not as I do. I am having really bad hiccups, so I'm going to end stream now. Take care, everybody, and I shall see you guys on Saturday.